All right. We are good to go. Hoping it doesn't crash right away because it's actually been happening in a couple of my recent streams where for some reason my OBS will crash like a second into it. Don't know why, but it's looking good right now, so I think we're all right. It's not the end of the world because I mean if you crash a second into your stream, it's kind of whatever because you can just restart it obviously. Um but I'm glad that is not what is happening. Okay. Let me see if I sound good. Yeah, it sounds fine. Okay. All right. We're all good. So what is going on, everyone? How you doing? Um, Obviously, if you read the title, you know exactly what this is. This is a ranking of every single 2023 movie that I personally watched myself. And I need to make it absolutely clear. There's a couple things we have to go over first before we get into it. First of all, these are movies that released in the United States in 2023. Some of these movies either haven't released in other countries yet. I know some of the movies specifically haven't even released in like the UK, for example. And some of these movies also released, like, they first released in 2022, but then they released in the US in 2023. And this is based on the US release date. That's important to note because it makes no sense to rank them otherwise, because obviously, if a movie releases in 2022 and then it doesn't come out for me until this year, why would I, not rank that for this year? You know what I mean? Just to me, that makes more sense. I have 56 movies here. There's quite a lot. I will say, did not watch as many movies as I wanted to. Like looking back on it, I was hoping to like hit like 70 or at least, but 56 is still a decent number nonetheless. Honestly, I had a lot of other things to do this year. For example, I watched through the entire Clone Wars series plus Rebels. So that's a lot in of itself. And then for the channel, I mean, we had Game of Thrones. That was a big thing to do. So obviously didn't have as much time to watch new movies, but still, that's a lot more than the average person. Like, come on, like, there's no way this is not more than the average person. I feel like the average person probably sees like 5 movies, like 5 new movies is what I mean, like 2023 movies, in a specific year. So, um, hold on. I don't know. I was gonna spit out my gum, but honestly, like gum is so good, man. It's so refreshing to have. But at the same time, I'm worried you guys are gonna like hear the clacking of the gum, and I don't know. I'll spit it out in a minute, probably. Um, so yeah, of course, we're just gonna go through tier rank them based on these things here. We got S tier, A, B, C, and D and F. Now, I also put a little word next to them just to kind of let you know, kind of like what that tier means to me, because tiers can mean different things to different people. I've seen some tier lists where when they put something in B tier, they consider B average, but that's not really how I consider it. So I decided to put those words there just as a way to be like, okay, this is what I mean when I say these things. And of course, it's my own subjective opinion at the end of the day. I rank movies. I'm gonna kind of explain how I rank movies because I like your vampire hair. Really, I guess it kind of looks like that. I don't know. My hair's always a mess. What was I saying? I rank them based on two things, and it's a mixture of these two things. So first of all, it's the technical aspects, which would be writing, directing, acting, lighting, whatever, anything that has to do with just the technical aspects of the movie. Then the other half of it is, of course, the personal aspect, like how enjoyable was the movie for me? Did I have a good time watching it? Is it something that interested me? Like, did it grab me in? That sort of a thing. Because although both of those things are very subjective, I do think it's important to separate it and still include it in the list. That's all being included, but to kind of differentiate it, because there's been many movies where I will say there's nothing wrong with it, and there's going to be some movies on this list that'll be like that, where there's nothing wrong with it. I think it's a flawless film, but I just didn't find it that interesting in other aspects. Therefore, it was a lot lower on the list for me, and that's just going to naturally happen. So, just keep that in mind, because I know there's gonna be people who are gonna be like, "But you said there was nothing wrong with this movie. Why would you put it not an S?" And that's simply why. If it's gonna go S, it has to not only be nearly a flawless film for me, but it also has to be one that just you know interested me a lot. So, how's everyone doing? We're gonna jump into it in just a few minutes. I just wanted to let some people get in first. It's gonna be somewhat a long stream, maybe like 2 hours. I don't know. I'm not sure how long mine was last year. I did do this last year, so okay, we're spitting out the gum now. I did do this last year, and what was it, 50? I think there was also 56 movies last year, maybe 57. It was around the same amount. I think I did pretty much the same amount. as last year. Hopefully next year I could do a lot more, or I guess this year, hopefully I can do a lot more. I'm still talking like it's 2023. I know it's not. Um, I'm gonna read some of the comments real quick. Marvelin, gonna miss the stream tonight, but I hope it goes well. Oh, thank you, man. Assuming you're watching, if you're watching the VOD right now, thank you. I appreciate it. Um, Robert, how you doing, Dan? I'm doing good. How about you, man? Saw about 5 or 6 new movies. Yeah, like that's what I kind of would see is probably the average amount. I saw some people arguing that the average amount is like 20. I'm like, I don't think that's the case. If the average amount was 20, all right, Darius, I know who you are, bro. You're getting you're getting removed again, bro. Oh my god. I know you're on one of my other streams doing that. I'm just immediately blocking you because I know you're gonna do the same shit. All right. Walking Dead Pepper, I gotta check out last year's after this. Yeah, I did a stream for it, so I'd appreciate that. Watched 112 movies and shows this year. Damn, 42 new this year. Oh, like 112 total. I thought you meant like 112 new ones, which still 42 new ones is a lot though. I'm not sure how many movies in general I watched. Like, I guess I could check on Letterboxd because I do note all of them down, so that probably would be there, that information. All right, let's just jump right into it. Because like I said, this is gonna be kind of long. Starting with Sick. And this, I think it's also the first movie I watched in the year, if I'm not mistaken. Did I? Maybe it was. I don't know. It came out really early. I think it was like January. It says it on the poster. I think January 13th. Oh, no. Oh, Megan came first. I think Megan came first, right? Was that? Yeah, Megan was January 6th. No, Megan was the first one I watched. Also, by the way, I ordered this in release date order for the US release date. Just generally speaking, I probably got some wrong. I honestly did it just off my mind. Like a couple of them I had to look up because I wasn't too sure, but I generally knew when most of these released, so I just kind of ordered them like that. So if you're wondering what order we're going in, that's the order. To me, that just made it more interesting. And it'll make it easier for you guys if you're watching the VOD. It'll make it easier for you guys to actually find where, like, what movies you're interested in hearing my thoughts on. Because you could just scroll over to, like, let's say you want to see a movie from July, what I thought about, like, Oppenheimer, for example. Like, just scroll in the middle of the stream. You'll probably find it. All right, well, Megan, sorry, my bad. We're doing Megan first because that's the first one that came out. Megan was, I did do a review for this. I thought it was okay. Which okay to me is probably going to be like C tier, maybe B. If it was going to be in B, it would be at the bottom of B. I'm going to put it in C. I was so excited for Megan. I'm not sure if you guys were too, because I heard it was going to be produced by James Wan. Now, it's not directed by James Wan, but it's produced by him. And I honestly, like, I feel like they throw James Wan's name on a lot of movies nowadays because, like, they know he's a big name in horror. A lot of people love his movies. So obviously they plaster his name on everything. And it's starting to become like a negative to me because I'm automatically like worried about how a movie's going to be. If they really felt like they had to put his name all over it, you know what I mean? It makes it seem like they're grasping at straws there. You know what I mean? Like they're finding any way to get people to watch the movie. But Megan really didn't need that because the trailers just looked really interesting nonetheless. Like just the concept of it alone, just some like AI doll type thing that ends up killing people. Great concept. We've seen that before, obviously. It's a common concept, but I do like how this movie handled it. It's pretty much the same plot of Child's Play 2019, if we're being honest, but I was so intrigued to see what they could do with it. Unfortunately, it was PG-13, which meant they didn't really show too much gore. I know there's an R-rated cut out there. I have not seen the R-rated cut. I've heard it's kind of the same thing, though. Like they only added a little bit more, to the kills. It's nothing like too crazy. So I don't think that would like change my opinion on the movie. I do think the story itself is it's just very okay. It's very average. I had a decent time watching it. I thought there was some funny moments. Like it generally felt like a satire for most of it, like it was comedic. But I didn't think it was anything too special. So yeah, what do you guys think about Megan? I don't know. It was fine. I'm not gonna say it was bad. I'm not gonna say it was great. It was fine. Totally decent film. Actually, I'm gonna change B tier to great. No, good and great are close enough. Like I feel like for me it's like good, then great, then amazing, but like I'll just leave it at good. Good's fine. But I could see it being in good because I wouldn't say this movie's like not necessarily, I wouldn't say it's not good, but it's just not like it's not good enough to being good, if you know what I mean. Like if that makes any sense. Oh boy. Are you gonna do the tier ranking for every movie reacted to on the channel in 2023 like you did in 2021? Probably I was thinking about it, but at the same time, the reason why I'm not likely gonna do it is because I feel like the people who watch my movie reactions, like, there's a very different audience for each reaction. Like, it wasn't like that 2 years ago. I feel like nowadays it kinda is, especially because I don't do movie reactions as frequently as I used to. So, I'm not, like, planning on it, but maybe I'll do it if I have the time. I don't know. I'm not too sure. 'Cause, like, I like doing tier rankings for movies that have a similarity to them, like, either if it's within the same franchise, the same genre, or in this case, coming out in the same year, but those movies are just a bunch of random movies that I just happened to watch the past year, you know what I mean? And honestly, most of them would be pretty high. Like, I didn't react to that many movies this year that I didn't like. So, it would immediately be a list where most of the movies would be on, like, the top, you know? I would change amazing to great. That's pretty similar to incredible. Yeah, I guess you're right. Alright, we'll do that. You are kinda right there. I actually at first I had masterpieces as the word up there, and then I changed it to goats, and then I was like, "No, incredible sounds better." Alright, now let's get to Sick. So, Sick, ah, I know a lot of people like this. I believe it was written by the screenwriter, Kevin Williamson. I think it was. Could be wrong. And it's a slasher. I like slashers, so I was immediately down for it, but I did not find it to be that enjoyable. I don't know. It was one of those movies that it didn't really take itself too seriously, which is fine, but I didn't think those moments felt like they didn't come at any sort of positive, if you know what I mean. Like there's this joke at one point in the movie, and it's a very much a COVID pandemic movie, which is a gimmick in and of itself. But I thought there's an interesting thing you can do with that. There's this one scene where I'm not going to spoil like anything specific, but there's this one scene where this girl's trying to get into a car because she's being chased by a murderer, and the person in the car is like asking if she has a mask or something. Like they're making mask jokes, stuff like that. I could see why they made this, like, it makes sense, but it was one of those things that I just felt like it was more of a gimmick than anything, and I didn't really get much out of the story or even the kills or really any of the slasher action, so for me, it's a D. Don't think it's bad, I'm not gonna throw it in bad, but I don't think it's nothing too special, though, so Megan singing Titanium was really funny, caught me off guard. That was the funniest scene in the movie. I'll give it that. That single-handedly saved the movie for me. That was so fucking funny. It was so random, but, like, it just worked for me. Chucky-like concept, but I much prefer the dark humor with the seemingly kind robot versus what I've seen the Psycho Chucky character. Yeah, they're very different because Chucky's more of a character. Megan's not really a character, to be honest. It's more of just, like you said, like a robot. It doesn't really have much of a personality, but then they start to kind of make like she almost has a personality later in the movie. Interesting concept. I think it's like I said, average. I would watch it again, but I wouldn't watch it 3 times probably. Are you gonna rank the shows you watched in 2023? Um, like I'm assuming you mean like the new shows that I watched, like shows from last year. I don't think so, just because I don't think I watched that many. Like, how many did I actually watch? Like, I guess Invincible season 2, a little bit of it that came out. The Walking Dead shows that came out last year. Uh, I guess any of the Marvel shows, the Star Wars ones like Ahsoka. Yeah, Chucky. I don't know. I could, but I don't know. I do have a plan to do a top 10 most anticipated shows of next year. So I'll probably do a video for that, but I'm not sure about ranking the shows. Perhaps I'll do that on a year where I feel like I watched more, but maybe I have watched more than I'm realizing, and I just don't even realize it. I guess The Last of Us came out this year. Maybe there is a decent list there. I don't know. Maybe I'll do that, but it won't be in a stream. It'll probably be just a video if I do it. All right. Next we have Plane. Now I actually recently watched this. I think I watched this like I want to say last month, and it's honestly pretty good. It's not great, but it's good. Actually, if it was on great tier, it'd be at the bottom, but I'm gonna put it in good. I don't know if people like this movie. Like, I'm not sure if it was a liked movie. I have no idea if it was, like not review bombed. If it was rated lowly on like those sites. I don't really look too much into that, but I personally really enjoyed it. I thought it had decent action, but even before that, like the opening act of the movie, where this it's just essentially a 30-minute sequence of this plane crash landing, and it's fucking good. Like it's some intense stuff. I love how it's directed. I love the intensity of it. The acting's pretty good. So I personally recommend this. Actually, honestly, I don't know. I'm debating on even throwing it in great. If it's gonna be in good, it's gonna be at the top of good. That's for sure. Because it's pretty good. I'm sorry, it is. It is. My only issue with this movie, I think, was kind of how it wrapped up, like the very end of it. But everything leading up to that, I thought was pretty solid. So I wonder if anybody else saw it, because honestly, I didn't hear many people talking about this. So I wouldn't know. A lot of people are wondering, like, why is it called Plane? Because it's like barely about a plane. But I think it has more to do with the plane than people realize if you haven't seen it. But if you've seen it, I think you kind of understand why it's called that. House of the Dragon. Well, House of the Dragon didn't come out this year though, or last year. That came out in 2022, right? I know I watched it this past year, but if it didn't technically come out, then it wouldn't be a 2023 show. Or are you talking about House of the Dragon in terms of most anticipated of this year? Because if that's the case, then yeah, of course. That's definitely up there. Plane is a really solid action movie. Good, brutal fight scenes. Felt like it could have gone a bit longer. It could have been longer. That's definitely true. Yeah. Megan gets a C. Yes, I'm sorry. C is still average. Average to me is still like, it's not a bad thing. Like, average just means, like, I wouldn't necessarily call it good, but at the same time, I didn't hate the fact that I went to see it in the theaters. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm still glad I saw it. So, all right. Okay. I don't really have much to say about Plane, though. I'll be honest. Like, it's kind of just a very general action movie, but that works for me a lot of the time. So, therefore, it's going to get a B. Next up, we have one that is such an interesting movie. And I would love to hear if anybody loved this movie, because I want to know who loves this movie. And I'm not saying that in a bad way. I'm not saying like I'm not gonna, clown on you for liking this movie. I'm just so curious if someone likes it. Because I have heard some good, like, people have said good things about it. Skinamarink. Skinamarink. I think I'm saying that right. For me, it's going an F, but I will say I appreciate how unique this movie is. I appreciate how it's made, and the creators of it were clearly going for something interesting, and I think the concept is cool. It's just not for me. I think it would have worked if I watched it in the theaters, maybe, but watching it at home, it was quite possibly one of the most boring, like, film experiences I've ever had with myself. I literally was just sitting there watching it, and like, I don't know. My brain like was turning to mush, because I really try to avoid going on my phone watching a movie always. Obviously, when I do reactions, I'm never on my phone, unless like I have to look at the time or something. But that's like for 2 seconds. In the theaters, don't use it again unless someone like texts me and something important that I have to like leave the theater for. Um, but when I'm watching them at home, it's a lot easier to get distracted by your phone. So much easier. I try my best not to. And when I'm just like, especially if I'm in my room, in my bed, it's so easy to get distracted. But I try my best not to. And this movie was the hardest, man. I was sitting there like, I can't get into this. I can't get immersed into this. I understand what it's trying to do, but like, I wanted to turn it off. I did. I wanted to turn it off after like 10 minutes. So I'm going to try to explain what this movie is to people who haven't seen it. It's essentially, in the easiest way to describe it, a bunch of sequences of like very like almost old time type feel, where like an older camera type thing, where there's like a lot of film grain, a lot of like static noises, and it's just like shots of furniture in someone's house, and there's kids in the background kind of talking, and a lot of the time it's like there actually is a story there. Like, some people watch this and leave it saying there's no story. There is a story there. It's just not one that's delivered in a way that's like consumable for the average person. Like I said, because having a movie like that for so long, it's not even that long. It's like an hour and a half, something like that. But you're just these shots of just furniture around the house. And then every now and then you'll hear kids talking. And I believe it's like their parents left or something, or like disappeared. And then there's like these, it kind of like creates that feeling that you maybe felt when you were a kid. Like, let's say you fell asleep on the couch downstairs and you wake up and it's really dark out, and like everything just feels so like scary and terrifying as a kid. Like, that's kind of the feeling this was going for. But I didn't need to watch an hour and a half of that. So yeah, it has to be F for me. I appreciate the idea of it, and I hope the filmmakers of this can go on to do some cool stuff. But it wasn't for me. We're gonna be drinking a lot of water today. I saw it. It's a gimmick stretched out to feature length, pretty much. Pretty much a gimmick. I think it would have worked better as like a short film, like a 10-minute short film. As an hour and a half, it was just like, I just can't do it. I don't know. Not for me. Yeah, a lot of people hated it. It was interesting because I saw it on Letterboxd. Was a lot of positive reviews for it, surprisingly. A lot of people respected what it was, and sure, I get it. But for me, I don't know. Not my kind of movie. But like I said, I think it would have worked better in the theaters just because I feel like it would be a lot creepier in the theaters just because it's like you're in a dark room, especially if there's like nobody else in the theater. But like I'm sitting at home in my bed watching it. It's like it's not that scary. Like you know what I mean? It's more about like it gives those creepy feels, but if it bores the hell out of me, it doesn't matter. So that's simple as that. Next up, we have Infinity Pool. Now, Infinity Pool, probably my girlfriend's like least favorite movie of all time. I have to mention that because she despised this. I wouldn't say I despised it, but I also don't think I liked it that much either. Um, I don't know if I want to put it in C or D though. That's that. It's either going to be in C or D. I'm not going to put an F. I don't think it was that bad, but like, shit, I don't know. I know I like it better than Sick. It was going to be higher than Sick. I know it's going to be lower than Megan. But like, should it be there or there, That's kind of where I'm at here. I think the actual just film itself was actually decently made. Like, I don't think there's really any big issues with it there, but some of it was a little too weird to say that because I love weird movies, but for some reason this was like a type of weird that just didn't work for me. And I was really excited for it because I believe it's the director. Is he the brother? It's a Cronenberg, right? But let me look it up real quick because I forget who exactly it was. Brandon Cronenberg, yes. He is he the brother of the other Cronenberg? Or the son of David Cronenberg? Okay. So I've seen a couple of David Cronenberg's movies, and I actually love the one I did see. So I think that's why I wanted to see this in the first place. But yeah, honestly, also Mia Goth was another reason I wanted to see it. I'm probably gonna put it in D. I don't think it worked for me too much. I can't really like specify exactly my theater experience because it was so long ago, but I just recall not caring about a lot of it. It's interesting though. It's interesting. Doesn't mean it always worked though. C as if you would rewatch, D as if you wouldn't. Well, I wouldn't exactly say that because rewatchability isn't like my sole purpose for, liking a movie or not. Like there's some movies that I would never rewatch, but I still think is a damn good movie. Like I think 2001: A Space Odyssey is a good example. I don't really want to rewatch that to be honest, but it's a damn good movie. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't say I exactly would rate it based on rewatchability, but it is a part of it. I'll say that it's a part of it. Not like a big part though. Okay. Plane Above Infinity Pool is insane. It might be insane. But we got to get a little crazy sometimes with these lists. We got to get a little crazy. Not liking a movie is not the same as it being bad. That is an interesting point, Connor, because I literally, so many people have been debating that on Twitter lately. It's a pretty huge debate. For me personally, I disagree with you, though. I think if I don't like a movie and I call it bad, it's not that far off from the same thing. You know what I mean? Well, wait, hold up. Do you mean like not liking a movie doesn't mean you have to consider it bad, or are you making that argument about like the difference between subjectivity and objectivity with films? Because that part is what I disagree with. Obviously, if I don't like it, that doesn't mean I have to think it's bad because that's what the D tier is for. That means I don't like it, but I also don't think it's bad. Exactly what the D tier is for. But if you're talking about the whole like, oh, just because you don't like a movie doesn't mean it's bad. Just because, there's a lot of people have this idea that there's some like objective standard for what makes a movie good or bad. I don't really believe in that though. I know some people have that argument and you're free to have that opinion, but I personally disagree. I think rating movies is going to always be subjective. Although there are objective parts to your reasonings, it is subjective as a whole. You know what I mean? Otherwise, what's the point of even ranking movies? Because like what's the point? I don't know. Yeah, I did hear about the whole nepo baby thing, which is interesting for him to like do that for his own his own movie. But yeah, I didn't like I kind of like caught um I kind of understood that after I watched it because when I started seeing people talking about it, and I was like, that's an interesting point. Didn't exactly think about that while I was watching it though, but that is interesting. Okay, Close. I actually like just watched this. Probably like a week or two ago. It was a Patreon request, so if you want to see my reaction to this one, it is on Patreon. I don't think I'm gonna bring it to YouTube. I'm not 100% certain on that, but maybe I will. I will if there's people vote for it in my future polls. But I'm probably gonna put this in good. I just don't know if I should put it above plain or not. Probably below plain. Yeah, I'm gonna put it right there. I think that's a good spot for it. This is a good movie. So I'm not sure how many people heard about this. It did release in 2022, but released in the US in 2023, which is why it's on my list. And it's a really sad movie. Like it'll fuck you up because there are some tragic stuff that happens in this. I'm not gonna, say specifics. I don't want to spoil any movies in this stream because I'm sure a lot of you haven't seen some of these movies. But it is a tragic movie that, talks about well, shit. There's actually quite a few things it goes over. A big part of it is homophobia in a sense. That is kind of touched on in the beginning, but it is pretty much what leads to the tragic events. I won't, get specific with it, but that is a big part of it. And then also just, loss, grief, pretty much all that. That's like the big topic of this movie. And it's really beautifully done. I believe, is it an A24 movie? I think it is. I'm pretty sure it is. And yes, it's really good. It's worth watching. It has a great child actor in it, one of the best I've ever seen. It's a Belgium film as well, so yeah, it's worth watching though. I think it's on Amazon Prime. Subjectivity equals your experience. Yeah, well, any movie is going to be opinionated based on your experience with it, though. Dumb and Dumber is poorly made. It is objectively bad, but I love it. Your enjoyment should be independent of critiquing how well it is constructed. I disagree with you 100% because you saying it's objectively bad, you can't have something that's objectively bad. That doesn't make sense because good and bad are subjective measures. Like if I say this ice cream is good, that is subjective. I can't say it's good for everyone. Your idea of good is going to be different than someone else's idea of good. That's just how it is. That's how life is, I think plenty of things are good in the world. A lot of people don't, and that automatically makes it not subjective. Now, there's obviously the argument that comes up with like, okay, well, there's certain things that most people would agree on. Like, obviously, like, I think we can mostly agree that, just a random example, The Last Airbender movie that was made by M. Night Shyamalan, I think most people would agree it's a bad movie, right? Does that mean it's objective? No. It's still subjective. Well, I guess turn on my fan because it is hot in this room. Oy. Okay. Huh. I have to drink a lot of water. Walking Dead was objectively bad for a few seasons. Yeah, but I just don't. It's just not a thing, bro. No, honestly, like that conversation right there about objectivity and subjectivity has been a debate for ages. I think philosophers debate it all the time. Like it's a big thing that's debated. It's hard to like, get it down to the nitty gritty of it. But I hate that argument because it kind of makes it seem like that. Like, what's even the point of arguing about movies at that point? Like, if there's some sort of objectivity, then what's the point? Like why are we even rating movies? I might as well just not do it because apparently there's some objective list. Like who's making this objective list too? Who's objectively rating these movies? Is it the critics? Well, a lot of times people disagree with the critics. So what do you mean? I don't know. I don't think it's a good argument. Evil is objectively bad. See, you're going to disagree. My simply disagree with this. That's not even true in of itself, because there are people out there who probably will be evil and will think that they're doing good. That doesn't mean I think they're right. I think those people are terrible. But that's not what objectivity is. Objectivity is like there is no debate. Like it is 1 + 1 = 2, or this thing weighs 100 pounds, or like things that you can scientifically prove. Whereas a lot of other things will have some sort of moral debate, or even just simple movies. They're just a bit debate on these movies. That's simple debates. It's all opinions. You know what I mean? But that's just my take. So many people in like the film Twitter have those disagreements all the time, and I love those arguments. So I'm not going to say you're wrong for having a different opinion, obviously. Even though I kind of did mention that, I still don't think it's like whatever. Let's just move on, because that will go on for. I could probably talk about this for like 3 hours. I'm not even kidding, because I think it's a fun thing to argue, but oh well. Because trust me, I've been having those arguments for ages. Because like it's whenever you have someone who says like, oh, that list is objectively wrong, it's like, what does that even make? How does that even make sense, bro? That doesn't make sense. All right, let's get to the next movie. Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. Okay, we could probably all agree this is F. Okay, but I would love to hear someone who loves this movie though, because that would be interesting. So, if you don't know what this movie is, it's a Winnie the Pooh slasher, which a lot of people automatically, when they heard that, they were saying this movie's going to be shit. It's going to be garbage. I was saying, let's give it the benefit of the doubt. Who knows? Maybe it'll be decent. No, yeah, it ended up being terrible. It was garbage. It was trash. It was bottom of the barrel, like slasher garbage. It wasn't even entertaining. Like at least I was hoping it was going to be like so bad it's good. It's not even that. It's just so bad. That's all it is. There's no point of watching it. Simple as that. Which I don't even feel bad saying that, because the creators of it, I think they made a lot of money. Like the movie did make money. It got a lot of people to watch it. People saw it. I think it made more than the budget. So they made money out of it. They won. That's it. So I'm gotta say it's a bad movie though. It's really bad. It's the worst of the year. One of the worst horror movies I've ever watched. Yeah, that's pretty much it. It probably does deserve something worse than F. I agree, but I don't feel like making another tier, so let me just leave it at that. Yeah, they're making a sequel too. That's the most insane thing about this. I don't know how. Yeah, they're able to make it because of the public domain. So, certain IPs, certain properties become public domain after a certain amount of time, like Mickey Mouse apparently just did, and now they're making horror movies about that too. And this happened with Winnie the Pooh last year, so they decided to make a horror movie about it. Now, I don't hate that idea though. Like, if someone wants to make that movie, go for it, but make it good though. You know what I mean? Like, if you're gonna do it, at least make it good. So, I don't know. I'll be probably watching those Mickey Mouse horror movies they're making, but they could probably end up being the same type of quality as this. I don't know. It is some bottom of the barrel horror stuff though. That I'll just say right off the bat, Winnie the Pooh is going to be my worst of the year. So don't expect another movie to be worse than that. Simple as that. Don't expect it. There are some movies that are close to it in terms of how bad it is, but not as bad. Okay. The creators shat on people who didn't like the movie. Yeah, I saw that. They were shitting on Cody Leach, right? Which is just really stupid. I feel like, I saw like if you make a movie, you're bound to get criticism. I mean, like, even just speaking from someone who makes YouTube videos, like, if people critique my stuff, as long as they critique it in a respectful manner, I'm not gonna hate on them for it. I might disagree with them, but I'm not gonna hate on them for it. And also, I think it's a different scenario because, like I said, they made a lot of money off this movie probably, so like they still won. I think it would be a lot different if it's like the movie completely failed, didn't make a single dollar, like it's failed so bad, and then you shit on it. Then it's like, okay, then that's a bit much. but they got their money. They're fine. Like they're even making a sequel. Ow, shit! I hit my hand on a desk. Ow, goddamn. Oh man. Happy New Year, New Year as well. Thank you, Mika Man. Am I saying your name right? I'm not sure. Let me know. All right. Well, we're moving on from Winnie the Pooh because there's not much to talk about with this. Um, Next movie though, we got Knock at the Cabin. This is M Night Shyamalan's movie, and I was really excited for this. It ended up being a pretty good movie. I'm not sure if I'm gonna put it above Plane though. Probably put it right in the middle. Yeah, it's a pretty good horror movie. Honestly, one of the better horror movies of the year, which is kind of sad because I mean, one of the best horror movies of the year being in B tier is. I was hoping to get more S tier horror movies, but I'll be honest, I don't think there's a single S tier horror movie this year. For me personally, from the ones I've seen, I don't think there's a single one that deserves S. Some of them are close, but none of them deserve S. But Knock at the Cabin was pretty good. I believe it's based on a novel, if I'm not mistaken. It has that M. Night feel to it. Some of the story and themes behind it were interesting, but I don't think it was as incredible as I was hoping compared to a lot of other M. Night movies that I absolutely love. So, yeah. Knock at the Cabin, I would say C. I think B is good for me. Do you think Talk to Me is the best horror movie of the year? Well, you'll have to see. I'll have to see when I get there. It's Mika, but with a long I. Mika. Micah. Oh, Micah. Micah should be it then, right? Okay. I think I got that right. That sounds a bit more like what it probably would be. Okay. Well, yeah, I don't have much to say about Knock at the Cabin. Honestly, a lot of these movies, I don't have a lot to say, but a lot of them I do. Knock at the Cabin just didn't do anything wrong for me. It was just very much a standard M. Night movie. Just it wasn't like The Sixth Sense and Signs are like some of my favorite movies ever, and they obviously it's not going to live up to that, but it was pretty good. It's pretty good. I did hear that the ending was drastically different than the book though, which was interesting. Like I said, I haven't read the book, but it was good. Oh, now we got Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Fuck, man, this movie was probably the most disappointing movie of the year for me. Does that mean it's bad though? I don't think it's bad, but it's disappointing. It's probably the most disappointing movie, maybe even of my life. I don't know. That's a bit severe. Maybe not of my life, but it's up there. It's up there. I'm putting it in D. This might be tragic to put it above Infinity Pool because I feel like Infinity Pool has just less problems with it, but at least I enjoyed Ant-Man Quantumania more. So I'm going to put it there. That's probably a good spot for it. This movie for me, it has some positives. I do like, Kang in this. He is good, except for how they ended his character in this movie, but most of it's fine. I think it's got cool concepts. I like Ant-Man in it. He's fine. That's kind of where the positives end. So I don't have much else to say. I don't know. It's not like the worst MCU movie ever, but it's pretty close to being the worst one ever. So D tier is good for it. Ugh. I honestly got to get a new chair because this is honestly not a comfortable chair. Like, if you guys ever noticed my reactions, I'm like constantly like fussing about on my chair because it's just not comfortable. Like, I swear, I thought it was gonna be. I bought it like a year ago, and it's better than my last chair, I guess. But like, I need like one of those like theater chairs. You know what I'm saying? Like those ones you can just like lay back on and like just kind of like cushion all around. Because this one kind of feels like a jumbled mess. I don't know. M. Night needs to up the ante on his horror movies a bit. He's got a new one coming out this year, so hopefully that one's good. I enjoyed Ant-Man quite a bit. Could have been better. Most disappointing of your life. I want to say it's up there because it was in my top 10 most anticipated movies. It looked really good. It looked great. I thought Kang was going to be awesome and he was decent, but I don't know. It ended up being kind of, I don't know. Just kind of meh. Maybe get a back pillow. I do have one of these things. I can't really see it, but it's like one of those things that straps onto the chair and it makes it a little bit better, but maybe I'm just like an uncomfortable person in general. Like maybe I feel like I am uncomfortable a lot in my life. Like it's hard for me to like get in a position where I just feel good. I gotta like always shift around, especially when I'm sleeping. I gotta move around so much, you know. Maybe that's why. Yeah, MODOK was horrible. I agree with that. He was one of my least favorite parts of the movie. He was like just turned into a complete joke. I know in the comics he's a joke too, but like not like this though. It was so bad. It was pretty bad. Ugh. Like you can have a jokey character, but like have it make sense. Have it be organic, you know? And this just felt forced. Especially because the character that he was not originally a jokey person, like in terms of in the MCU, because they ended up making MODOK like, you know, it's not really a big spoiler. It's not really a spoiler, I would say. Yellow Jacket from Ant-Man 1, right? That he comes back as MODOK. He wasn't a jokey character really in Ant-Man 1. It just the whole personality shifted in a way that I just don't think made sense. So yeah, I don't know. A lot of issues with it. Ant-Man's daughter was the worst casting ever. I didn't mind her. I just didn't. Yeah, they didn't have to recast her though, because I mean, unless they had to, because maybe the actress, the original actress, didn't want to be in it. But I feel like I remember reading somewhere that she wanted to return, but they just for some reason told her, "No, you're not coming back. We're recasting you." And there was like no reason to recast, other than I guess just getting a more popular actress for the role. I think that's probably what they did. I think originally Cassie Lang, they didn't expect her to have a big role in the future, maybe, so they just casted some random girl for Endgame. Maybe she wasn't a popular actress. I don't know. I have no idea. This is my speculation because I have no idea if she actually was popular or not. But maybe they were like, oh no, we want this other actress because she's more popular, which is a stupid reason to recast. It's a really stupid reason. You only recast if someone dies or if they have to be removed because they go to prison or whatever. Like something like that happens. Like that's when you recast. Not fucking because you wanted a more popular person. Oh, that's fucking stupid. Like imagine that. Imagine being like, oh, we did one season of this show, but you're not that popular compared to this person, so we're gonna recast you for this other more popular person. Like, what? The original actress didn't even know that she was fired? Really? Until they announced the actress? That's insane, bro. It's not like she was a bad actress. Like, I know we only saw her in one scene in Endgame. She was good. She was fine. One scene, sure, but she had a crying moment where she had to cry, and it was some convincing tears. That's one of the saddest moments in the movie. So, I don't know. Okay. What's the next movie? Cocaine Bear? Oh boy. I have no idea where to put Cocaine Bear because it's not going to be that high. I'll say that much. It is not going to be that high. Cocaine Bear, I was not interested in seeing it when it came out. Trailers didn't really interest me. People talking about it didn't interest me. But I watched it recently just to watch it because I know it's a movie a lot of people talked about. So I said, screw it, I'll watch it. I want to say it's bad, but maybe bottom of meh. I'm going to put it bottom of meh because it at least had a couple moments where I was like, okay, sure, that was kind of funny or it was kind of like interesting. But it is pure slop all around, like bottom of the barrel type slop, like. But yeah, is there a couple moments that are kind of entertaining and you're like, okay, that was kind of funny? Yeah, sure. But that doesn't mean it's a good movie. Yeah, there was a couple of cool, like brutal moments, but then again, isn't it based on a real event? And like, I just thought that was kind of like, it just sounds bad. Like, imagine like that real event, like you had a family member that died in it and they decided we're gonna make a comedy off of this tragedy. That already sounds weird in and of itself, but I understand it's a very exaggerated version of whatever may have happened. But like, oh, it's a random idea for a movie. I don't know. Sure, it could have been interesting. It could have had better moments, but like the comedy was pretty bad. Like there's a lot of just trash comedy, like the type of comedy you would expect a 12-year-old to write. But like, I don't know. It didn't work for me. Glad I didn't see it. I was gonna see it in theaters. I'm glad I didn't. I'm glad I watched it online because that would have been such a waste of a theater experience. Yeah, I feel like I don't know. There's just not much to it. I believe the director. What's the director's name? Was it Elizabeth Banks? Did she direct it? I forget who, but like she was seemed very proud of it, and I was like, at first I was like, because of how proud she was of it, I thought it was gonna be decent, but I don't know. Did you see Saw X? Yes, that'll be on this list when we get to it. Okay. Don't really have much else to say about this because it's pretty bad. Um, Next up, I have 65. Now, 65 is insane to me because it was one of my most anticipated movies of the year. And yeah, it ended up being pretty meh. I'm not gonna put it in F though. I'll put it in D around here. I know, like I know it seems like I'm like shitting on Infinity Pool really hard, which I kind of am, but just know a big part of it is just purely I was just not interested in this movie. It's a big part of it, but I don't think it's like nearly as flawed as some of these other movies are. But 65 looked pretty cool. The trailers looked crazy. It looked like Jurassic Park, but with futuristic guns and a little bit more violence. So I was all in. And it was not that. It was not that at all. It was a very just mediocre 90-minute movie, pretty much. That's I think the best way I could describe this movie. Adam Driver was okay in it, but that's about it. Ugh. I keep drinking water because my mouth is so dry right now. No films above B tier. To be fair, January, February are usually not good months for movies. So it makes sense. That's kind of like how it usually is. Okay. What was I saying about 65? Not good. Not a good movie. I'm glad I watched it eventually just to, know for sure it wasn't a good movie, but I don't know. I was so excited for it, and then I ended up just not seeing it because the reviews were so poor. Like people were shitting on it like it was one of the worst movies ever, and it's not that bad, but it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. It has some good moments though, so that's why it's not an F. Don't think Real Life Cocaine Bear hurt anyone. Oh, really? Okay, well then never mind. Take that criticism away then. I'll revoke that criticism if that's the case. Then yeah, there's no problem making a movie based on it. But the way they made it sound like it was actually like a thing that happened in real life, where like people actually got killed by a bear that was on cocaine. But that makes more sense. Okay, all right. I revoke that piece of criticism. That doesn't save the movie though. It's still in D. All right, John Wick Chapter 4. If you've seen my ranking of all the movies of the year, you know this is going to go pretty high. But the question is it going to be an S tier or is it going to be an A? I'm going to say S tier for now. I might change it later on in the list if I feel like it. But for right now, I think it's deserving of S tier. It wasn't my favorite John Wick, but that doesn't matter because all the John Wick movies are amazing. So like it just does, being not the best does not matter in this case because it is still fucking amazing. Great action. Cinematography was off the charts. I fucking loved that 30-minute like action sequence in the first act. That was probably my favorite part of like the entire movie. So I'll give it that. It's incredible. Definitely was the best first the first movie of the year that I genuinely was like, okay, this is great. That's how I felt when I saw this. I will say though, My theater experience was kind of tainted a little bit because I felt like crap that day. When I saw this movie in the theater, I was sitting there the whole time like, oh, like I had such a bad stomach ache. I felt so sick. I don't know what was happening to me that day. It was bad, and I can't say it didn't affect my experience at all because I think it did. Maybe I would have liked it even more. But the fact that even feeling like crap while watching it, I still put it in S, that means it's great. That obviously means it's deserving of S tier. So, yeah, I'll probably watch it again soon because I feel like I need to rewatch that without feeling like crap. But that was not a fun theater experience because of that, though. No, like I love the movie. Like it was fun watching it as a group in the theater, but like I felt so sick. It was bad. God damn. You almost sounded disappointed nobody was hurt. Oh god. Yeah, 65, I think if it had more action, it would have been better though, because I honestly don't think it had enough moments with dinosaurs. So not many moments in the movie that actually had dinosaurs in it, you know? Like the ending bit had that in like a couple minutes in like the middle, but like there was a lot of just really slow, like Adam Driver walking around, just not doing much type moments, which didn't really work for me. It might have worked if the environment was a little bit more interesting, but I don't know. I don't think it worked. It didn't have much to it. Objectively, the best movie ever made. Damn. A lot of people love John Wick. I do think people love it more than me, but I still, like I said, it's still incredible. So, okay. I had to burp real quick if you're wondering why I did that for like 3 seconds. Oh, I gotta do it again. Hold on. Okay. Scream 6. Scream 6 was actually one of my least favorite Scream movies, but I still think it's a good movie. Keep that in mind. I still think it's a good movie. I just think out of all the Scream films, there's so many, and I love a lot of them. I mean, Scream's a very consistently good franchise. Like, it doesn't have, other than Scream 3, I think all of them are at least like great films. Um, so Scream 6, I'm probably gonna put. Hmm, it's either bottom of A or top of B. What do you guys think? I'm actually like kind of not sure right now. Do I like it more than Plane? Scream 6 is my favorite of the franchise. Wow. It was, I think it was my second least favorite, to be honest, but I don't like, it doesn't really matter. I still think it's a good movie, you know? Um, a very consistent franchise. Unfortunately, due to, I mean, if you guys, I don't know if you guys heard about the recent events, though, we're not getting Scream 7. Or at least anytime soon. I honestly don't think it's going to happen anymore. I think they might just can the Scream franchise after everything that recently happened. So I, I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe someone else will buy it from Spyglass. Is it Spyglass? Who owns it? I don't know. Some company. I think honestly at that point someone might buy it from them and then make a movie off of it, and it won't be Scream 7. It'll probably be a reboot. I don't know. But this one, I don't know, man. Plane was really underrated. I'm sorry. Like I know it's probably not given much love. I'm gonna check it right now. Yeah, it's got a 2.9 on Letterboxd. That's not that low. 2.9 is not high, but like I honestly was expecting it to be like a 2.4 or something. But I fucking I'm putting it there. I'm putting Scream right there. Bottom of A. Bottom of A could have worked for me, but I don't know, man. There's gonna be a lot of movies in good and great, I think. Probably at least 6 or 7 movies in Incredible, but we'll see. The most rewatched Scream movies is better than the original. Is 6 the most rewatched? The reveal at the end was underwhelming, but B. Oh, the killer reveal. I don't know. I didn't mind it, but I did predict one of them at least. The other one's not so much. Yeah, I don't know. I think my issues with Scream 6 was centered around some like really poorly choreographed moments. It's hard to say it was writing because I think a lot of it is more choreography oriented, but like for example, just a random example. There's a lot of moments like this in the movie, but like a character will have a gun pointed at somebody and instead of just shooting them, they'll like run at them or something. I forget who it was in that scene, but someone did that in the movie and I was like, "Why what? Why did you run at them? You had a gun." Like it makes no sense. Scream movies have a lot of those moments, but like I feel like this one had like too many of those moments to the point where it did affect the movie. But I still thought it was a good movie though. So I'll give it that. You know you're gonna bump planed up to A. Bro, maybe. I don't know. I don't know. You know what I need right now? I need one of those like things you wrap around your head, like that gives you cool air because my head hurts so bad right now. That's why I love live streaming, but I don't do it as often as I would like to because the worst thing is when you do a live stream and then you just start to feel like sick in the middle of it, which is what I'm starting to get right now. I can like my head's killing me. I'm still getting through the stream though. Don't worry. Don't worry. But always happens. It's like it's like doing like a play, you know, like you got to do it live. So like you have to be in your best feel during that point or else you don't want to cancel it. So it's one of those things. Obviously, any other video I can just like pause it and then continue later, but can't do that for streams. I guess technically I could, but I don't want to. I want to keep doing it. I just gotta, every now and then, I gotta do this. Oh, that feels good. All right, yeah, okay. Some nice cold water on my head. That feels good. All right. Dungeons and Dragons. I watched this very recently. I'm probably gonna put this in great. This is a damn great movie. It's not what I was expecting. I saw the trailers, did not see it in theaters because it did not look interesting, but I heard good things. And then after watching Game of Thrones, I really got interested in the whole idea of dragons and medieval shit. So like I was like, you know what? I'm going to go watch this. And I watched it like last week. I should have done it as a reaction to be honest because I do think it would have made for a good reaction video. I apologize. I did not. I watched it on my own. Well, actually, I watched it with my girlfriend, but it wasn't for a video. I thought it was damn good. Or great, I guess, better word for it. It's not incredible, but it's great. It's a very fun, comedic, wacky, goofy movie, but like it does all those aspects in a very organic way that feels, it actually has decent depth to it with its characters. I like the universe it's in, the lore. Everything was cool there. There's maybe like one or two moments that didn't work for me in terms of comedy, but majority of it was pretty solid. I kind of wish I'd either, like I said, reaction or saw this in theaters because I think it would have been a pretty cool theater experience. Because there's a lot of good visuals here too. Like it looks like it's a good looking movie, which is surprising because these are the types of movies that you'd usually expect to have terrible CGI, terrible visuals. It doesn't look half bad though. It doesn't look amazing, but it doesn't look half bad. So I will give it credit there. I would love to see them do another one. I'm not sure if they announced that yet, but would be interesting. I did hear it did bad at the box office though. Yeah, it didn't look that interesting from the trailers. Maybe they just did bad with the marketing because it never really appealed to me. But when I heard it was good, then I was like, well, shit, I guess I gotta go check it out. Oh damn, I gotta sneeze, but it's not coming out. Come on, come out, sneeze. Come on, come on. It's not doing it. It went right back in. I hate that. That's like my least favorite thing in the world. Dungeons and Dragons was decent. I expected more. Whole lot of love in the trailer made me think they'd go for a Guardians vibe with a classic rock soundtrack. Still good. Classic rock soundtrack would have been interesting, but yeah, no, it's not like that exactly. But I could see it having a Guardians feel to an extent, though. Just like having a group of people who are very different from one another, but working together on the same goal. That's an interesting idea. The necromancy scene was too funny. Oh yeah, there's a lot of laugh out loud moments. Now I will say it was pretty good. The only thing is, I did watch it in two parts, which I hate doing that. I do, but like sometimes it's unavoidable because I believe I was watching it and then something came up, so I had to stop within like 40 minutes into the movie. and I couldn't finish the rest till like a week later. I hate doing that, but like, shit happens. So like I can't do much about it. That's actually happened. I think Avatar, actually, the Avatar 2009. I watched that on this channel, and I watched like the first half of it, and I started to like really feel sick. I had to stop watching. Started the next day, and I finished the last half of it. I couldn't do it in one sitting. I felt so gross. So didn't like Dungeons and Dragons. Felt really boring to me. That's fair. I'm sure not everyone liked it. I don't think it's like that highly rated, but it's people. I think most people that I've seen have said it's at least like okay. Like most people thought it was just decent. All right. Oh, by the way, I will mention when I did my top 10 ranking, there actually was two movies I watched like literally within the past day. So there's like one or two movies that I didn't even get to include in my top 10 ranking, but thankfully they didn't end up in my top 10 anyways, so it doesn't matter. So it's okay. It like ended up being an okay thing because it wasn't, movies that ended up being my top 10. I was worried they were going to be movies in my top 10, then I'd be like, "Shit, that ranking doesn't make sense anymore." I wouldn't really care that much. I would just, update you guys in this list, but they didn't end up in the top 10 anyways. So next up we have Wrath of Becky. Now, I honestly don't think many people have seen this. I did not hear a single person in the entire world talk about this. The reason I watched it is because it's actually a sequel to Becky, which came out a couple years ago, and I thought that was an okay movie when I watched it. And so Wrath of Becky, I'm gonna put it in meh. It's a little bit lower than Ant-Man. Is my pick for it. So Wrath of Becky is, if you don't know what Becky is in the first place, it's basically like Home Alone, but with a lot more gore and like just insane shit. And that's what the first one was about, really. It was a girl using all these crazy traps to kill these guys. I believe they were Nazis in the first one. In the second one, they're a different group of people. They're still awful people, and but a different group. They're not like exactly connected. And it's kind of the same deal where she just kills them with a bunch of traps, a bunch of crazy shit. It's entertaining, sure, but I just don't think they did anything to justify a sequel here, because sequels to me like should do something a little different. This was kind of the same movie, but the whole thing is like, oh, she's a little older now. Cool. Like that's literally the only difference with this movie. It's like, okay, she's a couple years older. So it's like seeing her grow up and be like, oh yeah, now she's a badass, 16-year-old instead of a badass 13-year-old. It's like that's all this movie does. There is no justification for it even existing. It didn't do anything interesting with the character. It didn't advance the story. There was maybe one or two moments that I was like, okay, sure, I could have seen maybe if they did more of that, it could have worked. The guy from American Pie, what's his name? The one who plays Stifler. He was one of the main characters in this. He was great. That's all I can really say about this movie, though. It's kind of like Home Alone. I think they were Nazis in the first one. Well, in the Becky, not. But yes. Yeah, the original Becky was all right. This one, I don't think it's like that much worse than the first one. It's just like slightly worse. I didn't think the original Becky was that great, so I'm not gonna say that like the first Becky was like a masterpiece that it had to live up to. It was just like they're both just like, I would probably even put Becky like in D or C tier, to be honest. But the sequel just was also not that great, so I just thought it was a little worse. Because at least the first Becky felt more original. This one, again, felt like it was doing the exact same thing, just she's older now. Pretty much it. This year's movie lineup is underwhelming. I don't think I will be going to the theater at all. Well, okay. I personally disagree. I think there is a lot of interesting ones that, at least for me, but also keep this in mind. A lot of movies don't get announced till like a couple months before they come out. So there's going to be plenty of movies that come out this year that haven't even been announced yet. So there will be things that will pop up and you'll be like, oh, cool. There's a new movie. Like it's not gonna, we don't know every movie that's coming out this year currently. And also a lot of times a movie will be like so under the radar and then out of nowhere everyone starts talking about it because the early reviews are really good or something. So I would say just like stay open-minded. You might end up seeing some great movies this year. You have no idea. But I, just in terms of what has been announced, you're totally valid for feeling that way. I personally disagree though. I think there's enough this year that looks decent to me. At least 30 movies that I saw that I know that are coming out that look, it's not like something I'd be interested in watching. So, which 30 is a decent amount based on the fact that, we just started the year. So I guess we'll see. I'm also biased because Joker 2 is coming out this year, and that's probably my most anticipated movie of all time. All right. What's next? Shazam? That came out that early in the year? Oh yeah, it came out in March. Yeah. Shazam. Where should this go? Oof. It's either going to be in C or like top of B, maybe. I'm going to put it above Megan. Shit, I don't know. What do you guys think about Shazam? It's definitely not as good as the first one. Definitely, I agree. I agree with you, TWD Pepper. It's in no way, shape, or form better than the first one. The first Shazam is a lot better. I don't think it's like 1,000 times better, but it's still better. But yeah, Shazam, Fury of the Gods. Yeah, it had some things that really worked for me. I loved the mythology. I loved that shit. That was really cool. Love the family there. They're dynamic with each other. That was all great. Rachel Zegler and her part in the movie was good too. I don't think. Oh, there's also a really cool story with Billy and the mom as well. There's some cool stuff there, right? I don't think the comedy 100% worked all the time. There were some moments that felt forced and cringy. There's also not the best villains there. In terms of like, those two ladies, I honestly forget their names. I don't remember their names. Those great? They weren't great villains. You also have quite possibly one of the most baffling decisions when it comes to the acting portrayal of Zachary Levi. I think Zachary Levi is a good actor, but for some reason he acts so differently than I feel like he's supposed to in this movie. He doesn't act anything like his younger counterpart. It was weird. It was really weird. So that was a big issue. But I don't think the movie was. I don't think the movie was definitely. It's not going to be like that low though. I still think it's underrated. I don't think it deserves a lot of the hate it got. But I still think average is probably a good place for it. So I'm gonna leave it there for now. What do you guys think about that one? By the way, if you're wondering why I keep looking this way, the chat is over here. Usually the chat's over here for me, but because I have the tier maker on the screen, I don't want to like throw the chat onto the screen with the tier maker because it would be convoluted. I probably could. Oh wait, you know what? I could include it. Should I include the chat on the screen? Would you guys like? I don't. And maybe I shouldn't. Because no, I shouldn't. Never mind, I shouldn't. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm not gonna do it just because it would require me to, like. Nah, I'm not. I'll leave it. This is fine. This is fine. Just letting you guys know. Young Billy was barely in the movies. Honestly, yeah, but the thing is he was so like depressed in this movie. He had so much going on with his life, and he was so like overwhelmed. And the older version of him, suddenly was just all like weirdly childish. But young Billy became way more mature in this movie. You can tell he was not that childish. He like it was weird. I don't know. It just they didn't work. That didn't work for me. What are your thoughts on Joker 2 being a musical? They better do it right. That's all I'm saying. Because if it's done wrong, it can destroy the movie. If it's done like, it can't be done in a way where it's really goofy. You know what I mean? It has to be somewhat taken seriously. I want to see Harley Quinn having visions or hallucinations of these sequences that are all in her mind, where she's singing and dancing in the streets. That is the musical aspect of the movie. That's it. She's dancing around with Joker, singing songs, probably classical music of some sort. I think there was already some leaked footage of her singing some song from the 40s or something. I was an older song, and she was singing it. Stuff like that, where she's singing like actual songs, just trying to be because she's an aspiring singer. Hopefully, the character will be that. That is where the musical aspect comes into play, not some actual like musical thing that most people are expecting it to be. But I don't think it's going to be like that. I think it's going to be hallucinations, and that could actually work. So hopefully, it's not too much. Maybe have like 6 songs total, maybe 5 in the movie. Don't make the whole movie music. You know what I mean? I really hope Furiosa lives up to the other Mad Max films. Yeah, me too. That looks really good though, so I have hope for it. Okay, Evil Dead Rise. Wait, did we talk about? Yeah, we talked about Shazam. Evil Dead Rise. Evil Dead Rise was pretty damn great. Am I gonna put it in great or am I gonna put it in good? If it's gonna go in good, it's going at the top. But I'm honestly gonna say great. So yeah, for now at least, I'll leave it in great for now. It might go down as we make more to the list, but for now, it's going in great. This movie was great. I loved the trailers. I was immediately like interested in the movie after watching the trailers, and then actually seeing it, it lived up to it. I don't think it's the best Evil Dead film. I still think Evil Dead 2013 is the best one, but this was still really great. It had a lot of good scary moments, a lot of good gore, a lot of interesting visuals. I don't think the characters were the best, but they're certainly not bad by any means necessary. They are by any means necessary. Was that the right phrase for what I just said there? Sometimes I throw in phrases that don't really make sense. Whatever. But they were good characters. Not good characters. They were okay characters. Like I said, not the best compared to some of the other characters in the franchise. But it worked for me. So, yeah, it's a great film. I want to see another one just like it. Same director, same everything, you know? Fury Road was a big disappointment. Interesting. Yeah, it's one of my favorite movies ever, so definitely a big disparity in opinions there. But I also didn't have much anticipation for it because I didn't watch it when it first came out. I watched it literally like last year. Okay. Sorry if I keep pausing, by the way. Like sometimes I'm just like trying to read some of the chat and also like talking consistently too much. Like that messes up your like it makes your throat so dry and I don't have unlimited water to drink. So trying not to like talk too consecutively. Sometimes I like to just, take a breather for a second and let myself, recuperate and then I get back to it. So you're wondering why I take like a 10-second break every now and then of talking, that's why. Because I know this is gonna be a pretty long stream, so I want to make sure it's I want to make sure I can get through it alive. You know what I'm saying? So that's that. Renfield. Renfield is not a movie I was that interested in, to be honest, but I watched it just to add more movies to my ranking, pretty much. There's some movies on this list that are basically that. They're just like filler in terms of like, I just watched it because I wanted to add a movie to my list. I didn't really expect to like it, and I was kind of right. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it either, though. It's one of those movies that just kind of exists, which means it's going to go an average. That's literally what the average tier is for. It's for movies that just exist. Don't really like it. Don't hate it either. Just going to throw it there. It's going to go below. Why is the water limited? I guess it's technically not. No, it technically is limited because, I mean, well, here, two reasons right here. First of all, I don't want to take all the water in my house. I got to go out and get more water if I need to do that. And I guess, I personally don't drink sink water. I know a lot of people are fine with that, but I do have like those, actual bottled things. You could filter it, but I just don't do that. So I would have to go buy more water. And then also peeing. If I drink too much water, I'm going to be peeing like every 20 minutes. And that would make the stream very difficult to do. So I make sure I can't drink too much water, but just enough to make it so my thirst is quenched. Just enough. All right. Evil Dead Rise was bloody. The kill was insane, especially the guy with the eyeballs went in the guy's mouth. Yeah, that was kind of funny though. Not gonna lie. There's a lot of moments in the movie that are just genuinely kind of funny. where I live in Wales, we have very good tap water. I think technically my tap water is drinkable, but like not like it's not recommended basically. Like it's like you probably would be fine, but like you probably shouldn't sort of thing. So that's just I think how it works around me. But yeah, Redfield's very average for me. I liked some of the scenes. There were some pretty cool action scenes. It's a vampire movie, vampire comedy, really, I guess the best word for it. Nicolas Cage is great in it. He's definitely the highlight. Nicholas Hoult as well, which he's starting to become a really like, you know, well-known actor, I feel like. I don't know how well-known he was like the last 10 years. I mean, I guess he was in the X-Men movies, so I guess that's probably where he became popular. I don't know, but he's pretty great in this. So I'll give it that. They're fun to watch, but I don't think it was fun enough for me to say it's good though. So that's pretty much where I'm at. Fun enough to keep it an average, but not fun enough to be good. Oh, we got Clock. Damn. Yeah, I don't think many people watch this movie, but it was not good. This one's going in bad, bro. Oh my God. All right, so I watched this on Hulu around the time when it first came out because another movie I wanted to just watch just because of curiosity and also to add more movies to my ranking. And it was not good. It was a horror film basically about pregnancy is probably the best way to put it. And not necessarily about pregnancy, but about the idea of having kids. And I just think all of the scares in it felt so just so bad. Like that's the best way to put it. It was just really poorly handled. All of the attempts at scaring you. There was not a single moment where I was like, "Oh, that was a cool effect." It was always just like, "What the fuck was that?" So I can't really recommend this movie, to be honest. If you really wanted to check it out, just out of curiosity, go for it. But I don't recommend it. I just simply would say it exists. And if you're interested, go check it out. If you're not, don't bother because you're probably saving yourself time by not watching it. Simple as that. There were some good performances in it though. The main lead was pretty good. I don't know the actress's name, but she was all right. That's all I can say. The Pope's Exorcist. Ooh, two bad back-to-back F tiers. Wow, look at that. I heard a lot of people love this movie. I'm sorry though, it wasn't for me. I was zoning out for a lot of it. I thought this was just very generic, which generic isn't always a bad thing, to be honest, but this is like the epitome of generic exorcism movies. I think honestly, I think it's my most hated genre of film at this point. I've seen so many exorcism movies, probably why I didn't watch the new Exorcist movie, even though I said I was. I didn't watch it. I'm so tired of Exorcist films. I don't know they're all like so similar and they all have the same like story. I'm just like, there's some that out there that I did like. Obviously, what was the one called that I really liked? It was one that was directed by Scott Derrickson. It was really good, but regardless, most of the time, not a big fan. No Super Mario. Didn't get a chance to see it, unfortunately. I was gonna check it out, but never got the chance. So yeah, maybe I'll react to it on the channel if you guys are interested. But yeah, I did not get in time for this ranking. I'm finding there's just not a lot of replay value to modern films, and most are one and dones for me, like Knock at the Cabin. I just don't care to watch it again. Yeah, well, I mean, I'll be honest, I don't really rewatch a lot of modern movies as well, but I don't think it's because I don't think they can be rewatched. I think it's just I've been so interested in watching like new stuff, like first time watches, that I just haven't gotten around to rewatching many things. So yeah, I don't know. I'm not really sure. Deliver Us from the Devil? Is that what it's called? Or no, it's Deliver Us from Evil. I think that's what it's called. Deliver Us from Evil. Exorcism of Emily Rose. Actually, Exorcism of Emily Rose was decent as well. I'll give those two movies are probably the only two exorcism movies that I liked. The original The Exorcist, I think I appreciate that movie, but I honestly think it's overrated. I've always said it. I think it's an overrated movie. But yes, those three I'll say are the only exorcism movies that I've seen that I'm like, okay. Other than The Conjuring, The Conjuring I guess kind of counts as an exorcism movie, sure. But The Conjuring is very different though. The Conjuring is the only one that I feel like went into such a different direction with it and felt more unique. So I'll give The Conjuring credit because I guess that technically is an exorcism movie, but it's a bit different. It's a bit different because it doesn't feel like it's like the main focus because there's so much other stuff going on in the movie other than the exorcism stuff. So that's what kind of makes The Conjuring feel so different. And it's a James Wan movie, so I mean, how can you love it? You could turn watching stuff into a full-time job. I mean, yeah. That's kind of what it is for me right now. I don't know. I can't really call it full-time because I'm also doing other stuff, but it's close to it. Yeah, I love The Conjuring. I love it. All right. Beau is Afraid. Beau is Afraid. So this movie kind of pissed me off, I'll be honest, because I fucking loved the first act of it. I loved the first act. I thought it was so damn good. And like I know this is probably like letterboxed brain rot right here, but like like this is if you love letterbox and you're on a lot, you probably have the same mentality. Like as you're watching a movie, you're thinking about what rating you're gonna give it. I know it's such a brain rot thing to do, but I do it anyways without even trying. And after the first act, I was thinking to myself, this is a 5 out of 5. This is a 5 out of 5 movie for sure. And then once it got into like the second act, it immediately fell for me. It just got so weird in a way that didn't work. I like weird movies. I do. But this was too much. But the first act, for someone who has like severe anxiety, this shit, like, it was so cool seeing like a horror vision of anxiety. Like, that is so interesting to me. It was such a good concept. I was like, that is so fucking cool. And Joaquin Phoenix is amazing. So I immediately loved the acting there. And just seeing this man going around and like having this visual representation of what anxiety feels like, just everything around you being terrifying, like, that's so damn cool. But then the second act just starts to turn into some really weird shit that doesn't even line up with what the first act was about. And then the third act is another thing as well. Like, it's just didn't work for me. I still enjoyed it a lot though. Where am I gonna put it though? I kind of want to say bottom of good because I still think that first act was so great that it deserves at least to be called good. But I don't know for sure. Um, that's a tough one. I'm gonna leave it there for now. I just like if it was literally just the first act, I think it would have been one of my favorite horror movies of all time. You know, it's an Ari Aster film. He made Hereditary and Midsummer, so a lot of high expectations for it. And it ended up just being, I don't know, it didn't work for me in the end. But the first act was good enough to the point where I would rewatch it for that alone. So, have you seen Malignant? Oh yeah, Malignant's one of my favorite horror movies of all time. Definitely. My reaction to it's actually on the channel, so definitely whenever you get the chance, I'd recommend watching that because that was one of the funnest reactions I've ever done. I want to see Beau. I love Joaquin. It's worth seeing just for the first act alone, so I'll give it that. But I do think it had a lot of problems. Still think it's a good movie though, so I'll leave it there. I'm debating putting it in average as well, but like it's like teetering the line. You know what I mean? It's teetering the line. So I'll leave it there. Um The Covenant. Just watched this actually like a couple days ago, and I've actually never seen any of Guy Ritchie's films, so I wasn't sure what to expect. And it's the definition of an average movie, so I'm putting it in average. I'm kind of like disappointed because I'm pretty sure Guy Ritchie's like a really like well-known um director who's like made apparently a lot of great movies, but I don't know, like that one didn't work too well for me. It's not like it doesn't really do anything wrong. It's just I don't think it did anything that justified its runtime. Like it's a movie about essentially like there's this interpreter. What country they were in? I think Afghanistan, right? And there was an interpreter, and like he was essentially helping them out in their mission. I think they're like dealing with different bomb situations, and they eventually get into this situation where the main character is um almost killed. I'm gonna hold on. I'm not gonna spoil it. I was just gonna spoil the whole movie, but I realized, and some of you might want to watch it for the first time. Never mind. I won't say it again. Um, but certain things happen, and one thing leads to another. It has a fitting ending that is all about, like, I guess, loyalty. Like, basically repaying a debt you owe someone, that sort of thing. I don't know. I thought the ending was great, but the rest of it, just, I don't know, very generic military film, which could work for you, might not work for you. This one just didn't really do anything enough to make me that interested in it, so I'll leave it at that. It's okay. I would watch it personally again, but I don't think it's unique enough to warrant being a good movie, though. Last act was whack. Oh yeah, Bo's Afraid. Yeah, I also watched Bo's Afraid in a really bad theater, and it was 3 hours long. So just imagine being in a really bad theater, really bad seats for 3 hours. That's gonna drive anyone insane. I like exclusively now. Exclusively, I'm gonna watch movies in, like, the recliners, because I don't like those crummy seats you get in some of the theater rooms. And most theaters are clearing those out, and they're putting just the reclining, like, comfy chairs. Actually, they don't need to recline, but, like, at the very least, just be comfy. Like, don't be like a freaking, like, those old, like, ones they used in, like the 2010s and stuff. Those are long gone. We should all have the nice comfy seats now in these theaters, especially AMC. I only go to AMC, so if it's an AMC, it should have that. But this was one I ended up watching it. It was in an AMC. It was just they had this movie being shown only in those shitty theaters because it's a less popular movie, which is usually what happens for the less popular movies. They just show them in shitty theater rooms. Depends on the theater you're in, though, of course. So, Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. Yeah, I've heard of that. That's a Guy Ritchie film. Yeah. Check out the teaser for Contemporary Death. The script is supposed to bring a new version of the Grim Reaper to bring a more ambitious kind of slasher experience. It's just as spec scripts, though. I can check it out. Yeah, I'll check it out when I get the chance. Okay. Next up, we have Guardians of the Galaxy. Ooh, easy S. Don't even have to think about that one. I already did my top 10 movies of the year video, so if you've already seen it, you already know. I was probably going to put it aside. It's one of the best movies of the year. It's fantastic. It's one of the best MCU movies, one of the best comic book movies. I cried. It was a very emotional film. It had great character development for all of the Guardians. Gave them a lot of good moments. The villain of the High Evolutionary was fantastic. I think my only complaint with this movie, I didn't love the soundtrack compared to the first two, but it was still great. I didn't think it was a terrible soundtrack or anything. It just wasn't on the same par as the first two. And also, I feel like Adam Warlock should have had more to do. I felt like he was a bit underused, but those are small complaints in the vast majority of things. It was still a fucking phenomenal film and has a lot of good character moments, a lot of good humor, even just based on like, I don't think comedy is like the number one thing I judge these movies off of, obviously, but it's still a factor. If you're going to have comedy in there, at least make it work. But the comedy felt like it was good. It was placed well in moments that made sense. They didn't undermine emotional moments with comedy. It was always, perfectly placed. So Guardians 3, yeah, it's great. Great. Incredible movie. For sure. Yeah, Godzilla Minus One wasn't playing in a lot of theaters. I was gonna see it in a shitty theater, but then I actually, funny enough, I bought it to see it in a shitty theater. I didn't realize it was a shitty theater. So I go in there, me and my girlfriend go in there. We sit down, and I'm like sitting there for 10 minutes. I'm like thinking to myself, do I really want to watch Godzilla Minus One, this movie that so many people have been hyping up? Do I want to watch this in a shitty theater with a shitty screen? I was like, fuck no. So we got up, we got the hell out of there. We saw it in a different theater an hour later. So it was a good choice though, because the movie was amazing. Spoiler for whenever we get to Godzilla. Past Lives. I watched this yesterday. So this one's fresh in my memory. This is so fresh in my memory. I literally watched this last night, less than 24 hours ago. I'm gonna say this one deserves bottom of A. Well, I don't know about bottom of A, but at least A for now. Bottom of A for now. It might not end there later, but for now, we're gonna leave it there. Actually, yeah, that's a good spot for it. That sounds good. I'm not sure how many of you guys check this out. I know it's a very popular movie in terms of like, especially the film community. Like a lot of people were talking about it on Twitter for months and months after it came out. And it's not like romances aren't my number one choice of movie to watch. I'm not usually jumping at the bits to watch the new romance film. I'm usually not. But if people say it's great, you know, I'm going to be more motivated to want to watch it. My girlfriend wanted to watch it more than anything, so that's why we watched it. And I'm glad I did because it does have a really interesting story. And I think it's one of the most organic romances I've ever seen. Romance hater. Sometimes, not all the time though. Titanic's a masterpiece. So, you know, Titanic's technically a romance. It technically is. So, you know, never heard of Past Lives. I'm interested. So the premise of Past Lives is it's about this couple. No, not this couple. Let me scroll back. It's about these two, this girl and this boy. They lived in South Korea and they were really close friends as kids. But then the girl moves away to the US and then the guy eventually, like 20 years later or something, I'm not going to go into specifics, but he tries to reach back out to her. But by the time he reaches back out to her, she's already in another relationship. Well, kind of. There's more, you know, nuance than that, but she's already in another relationship with another guy that she met in the US. And it creates this weird situation because he clearly has feelings for her and she's clearly in a relationship with another guy. So I don't want to go into specifics because I'll be spoiling it, but it is pretty great. It's so organic. There's no situation in it that feels forced. None of it feels like, oh, they wrote that in just to make conflict. No, all the conflict feels like something you would see in real life. Conversations feel like real conversations. A lot of it is, a lot of it's not in English actually. So if you have to be, just understand that going into it because I know a lot of people like they have to watch movies that are in their own language, but I personally don't get that. It's not a big deal. If you have to read some subtitles, no big deal. But it's fucking great. So I'll leave it at that. But it's not like S tier for me though. I know a lot of people will probably put it S tier, but it's not that high for me. You need to get over Titanic. No, I don't. No, I don't. Never. How did you end up watching it? Past Lives? I think it's on Amazon Prime. I had to rent it though. It was $6 to rent it. Some romances aren't too bad. Yeah, it's not that I think romances are bad. There's a lot of great ones out there. It's just not generally the genre that I tend to want to watch. You know what I mean? It's like I'm always going to pick a thriller or a horror movie or an action movie or a mystery or a fucking period piece. Like I'm always going to pick those over a romance. But that doesn't mean I'm going to hate every romance I watch. There's plenty of great ones, you know? Like Titanic. It's actually funny though, because when I used to watch Titanic as a kid, I would only watch the end hour, like when the boat's sinking. But when I rewatched it recently in theaters, because they showed it last year in theaters, I actually like fell in love with even just the first 2 hours of the movie, which I never really was able to feel that before. And I was like, okay, this is a fucking masterpiece. So that's that. I love foreign films. Don't miss out on great movies just because of subtitles. Yeah, I agree. I think I've seen like 20 at this point. Not that many to be honest, but definitely more than the average person if we're being honest. So yeah, there's a lot of foreign movies this year. That's true. All right. That's all I have to really say about Past Lives though. Transformers Rise of the Beasts. Oof, okay. I was kind of like semi excited for this because Bumblebee kind of like rejuvenated excitement for me for Transformers films because I felt like I was starting to lose, the care for the Transformers franchise, especially after the last night. I was like, okay, is that what the fifth one's called? The last night? I think it is, right? Terrible movie, but but Bumblebee was really great. So I was like, okay, I think I can actually get into these Transformers movies again, and I was really excited. I think Rise of the Beast was fine, but it's not good. So I'm gonna put it in average at the C tier. Honestly, I think the human characters were probably the worst part of it. I thought they had some of the worst human characters in the entire franchise, but I liked a lot of the actual Transformer action. It looked pretty good. I thought the visuals were fine. It's not the best looking. It's nowhere near the best visuals of the year, but it looked fine for a Transformers movie. You can see what was going on. You can tell what was happening, unlike some of the Michael Bay movies. But I don't think the story worked for me. I don't think that the human characters worked for me. Like having the main human character being involved in the action in a robot suit to me was so ridiculous. And that's the moment when I was like, bro, come on. Why are we doing this shit? Come on, come on. But the rest of it was pretty fine. So I'll give it that. All right. Legends of the Fall from 1994 is one of my favorites. It has everything: romance, revenge, loss, love, betrayal, brotherhood, fatherhood. I do like romances a lot more when there's some sort of, a thing that makes it kind of unique. So here's an example. I don't think people like this movie, but I personally liked it. It's called It's a Boy Girl Thing. Underrated romance, and it's the gimmick of that movie is that the boy and the girl. Actually, I don't want to spoil it. Never mind. I don't. Never mind. I always say that. I always start talking about something, and I'm like, never mind. I don't want to spoil it, so I just don't. Because a lot of movies I feel like are better to watch without knowing anything about it. So I try to like not give specifics, but sometimes it's hard not to like at least give some specifics. But just go check out that movie. I think it's a pretty good romance movie. Okay, Into the Spider-Verse. Oof. Okay. This is a hard one. This is a hard one. It's either gonna go. No, I have to put in great. I'm sorry, I can't put incredible. I can't do it. I want to do it. Believe me, I do. But I can't call it incredible. I just don't believe it was incredible. It's still in my top 10 of the year though. It's in my top 10 of the year. So it's at least gonna be called great. But I don't like the ending though. I don't like how it ended. I don't think it feels like a complete film. I know it's a part one. I know. Every other part one I've ever watched in my entire life feels more complete though. And I do think it takes away from the third act because of that. It feels like it ends at the second act. And that's not how a part one should be. It should still be a complete film and then just have another movie on top of it. And I don't really know how they could have structured the story better to make that work. I'm not the creators. I don't know, but I think there's definitely a way for them to do it. So great's the spot for it, I guess, for me. I know a lot of people are going to call it incredible. It's a lot of people's favorite, like, Spider-Man movie ever. I do think the Spider-Verse movies are a little overrated. I do agree. I'm also, like, a big fan of some other Spider-Man movies, so, I mean, like, it's hard to beat those, but they're not my favorite Spider-Man stories. But this one is really great, though. It is really great. I think especially some of the actual just character moments that they have, like specifically with Miles and his father, Miles and his mother, Gwen and her father. Like, there's a lot of great moments. Animation's great as well. Honestly, it's not my favorite animation style ever, though. I will say a lot of people love it. I love it for its uniqueness and it's how interesting it is, but like it's not my preferred animation style. There's so many other animation styles I would prefer a Spider-Man movie to be. And I'm actually kind of annoyed with how many movies are trying to replicate the animation style recently. It's a great animation style, don't get me wrong, but it's like, it's not my favorite though. I think it works. It's cool. If I was making a Spider-Man movie though, it would probably be something a little different. But to be fair, my movie probably wouldn't make as much money as this would. So my movie would probably fucking bomb at the box office. But that's just the way I would do it though. But yeah, it's a great movie nonetheless, so I'll leave it there. Yeah, story could have been better in some aspects. I just don't understand how people think it's the best movie of the past 5 years. Yeah, I mean, if that's someone's favorite movie in the past 5 years, yeah, so be it. They can have that opinion. I think my favorite movie in the past 5 years, what would that be for me? Um, I don't know. Well, 5 years is a long time. Oh, Joker. What am I talking? Joker came out 4 years ago. Of course, it's Joker. What am I talking about? Forgot Joker came out like actually no, Joker came out 4.5 years ago. 4 years and 2 months. 4 years and 2 months. All right, what's next? What's next? Asteroid City. Oof. Oh no. This is the one I was dreading getting to. This one is probably my most unpopular opinion. I'll just say that right off the bat. This is my most unpopular opinion here. So please do not don't even take this that seriously because like my opinion on this movie does not even matter because it's not my movie. It's just not for me. It was not made for me whatsoever in mind. It's just it did not work on me in any sort of aspect. I loved it technically speaking though. I'll give it that. I thought it looked really cool. I loved a lot of the visuals. Set design is fantastic. It's creative. But I think, and someone did tell me this, that because I haven't seen the other movies from Wes Anderson, it's kind of hard to fully get into what this was going for. So maybe perhaps when I watch his other movies, maybe I'll understand this more and kind of grow to love it more. But for now, for right now, it's not going to be high. I'm curious as to where you guys think it's going to land though, because this might surprise some people, but I can't change my opinion just because it's unpopular. I can't do it. Oof. I gotta do it. I'm sorry. I gotta do it. It hurts to do it because I'm very much aware it's well made. I'm very much aware. But I don't know. It wasn't for me. It wasn't for me. If I was a different person, it maybe would work better, but it wasn't for me. So that's all I can really say about it. There's so many good actors in this too, and actresses. It's a stacked cast, and they do have some cool scenes. But I don't know. My favorite scene was with the alien, but that's all I can say. It just wasn't for me, man. I don't know. Not every movie's made for me, so I'll have to just. It physically hurts to put it there. I will say though, it does because it doesn't look right. Because I very much think that Ant-Man is a more flawed movie than Asteroid City, but that doesn't change the fact that I still would enjoy and think that Ant-Man is something that's more fit for me. Therefore, I would rank it higher. That's just how it is. That's just how it is. Okay. Extraction 2. Extraction 2. So this is a movie that I think is purely for the action. That's not true, actually. You know what? I said that in my ranking, a top 10 of the year. It wasn't in my top 10 of the year. It was in my honorable mentions, but I said that it's purely for the action. I don't think I meant that 100% because there is a lot of good character stuff here as well. But the main appeal is the action, though. That is the main appeal. That is what you are watching this movie for. And so I'm putting it in great because holy shit, I loved a lot of those action sequences. Now, I do think the first one is slightly better, but just because I think the characters are a little bit better in the first one, I think the actual dialogue's better as well. I think all that works better for me, and the villain's better in the first one. But this one still was pretty damn great. I was excited when I heard about it, and I wish it was in theaters because this would have been a cool theater movie. But that opening one take scene in the first 30 minutes of the movie, holy shit, that's like a Call of Duty level scene, man. It's just I think it's a 10-minute sequence, one take all the way through. Obviously it's not they obviously cut it in certain parts to make it feel more like it actually looks like it's in terms of what the camera's doing, it all looks one take. I love stuff like that, so that immediately made this movie very good based on that alone. But there's also some really cool scenes later on in the film as well. Chris Hemsworth, I think, is a great action movie star. So it's a solid film. I'd recommend it to anyone who just wants to be, entertained for a good 2 hours. So yeah, it deserves the A tier. Just know I will judge you deeply by your placement of Barbie. All right. We'll see. We'll see when we get there then. We'll see when we get there. Um what are we at right now? What are we at? An hour 45 minutes? There's no way I've been streaming for an hour. No, I'm actually in shock right now because I'm not joking. I was expecting to see 30 minutes. I thought I was live for 30 minutes. I'm not kidding. Are you My concept of time is so fucked. It's not even funny, man. Oh my god. Wow. Okay. Okay. Oof. That's insane. I need to take a breather just because I we'll do a bathroom break in a few minutes. I'm definitely gonna need that. And I'll get more water too because I just ran out. We'll do that, but we'll do one more movie, I guess. The Flash. The Flash. Okay. So this one I talked about in my DCEU ranking. If you haven't seen my DCEU ranking, please go check it out. I love that video. I think I did some good work on it, but didn't get a lot of views though, unfortunately. But I enjoyed making it. I think this is without a doubt the most underrated movie of the year. I also think it's the most underrated, one of the most underrated comic book movies of all time. One of the most, not the most. Do I think it has problems? Yeah, of fucking course it has problems. We'll just put it where I'm gonna put it. I'm probably gonna put it above Extraction 2. Straight up. So the Flash's biggest issue for me, there's a couple of scenes with some really piss poor CGI. I agree. It was intentional to have it look like that, but it probably just shouldn't have been done because you knew people were going to shit on it for that. So they probably should have changed that around. There's also those really weird cameos at the end that just don't really make sense and don't work and just felt forced. The rest of the movie, though, I think is pretty damn good. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't understand why everyone hates it. I feel like every time people hate on it, they just say Ezra Miller's annoying. They say the CGI sucks. And they say the cameos are bad. That's all they say. They never talk about the story. I think the story is pretty damn good. I love what they do with Barry and his mother here. I love just the way he has to deal with, what happened to his mom and trying to fix it and trying so hard everything he can to try to fix it because I think everyone in their world would probably do the same shit. And then eventually leading toward the end where he has to accept it. Like, that shit's great. Michael Keaton's Batman's great in here as well. I know there's one or two moments maybe he had a little bit of a cringy line here or there, but it was few and far between. The majority of the movie is perfectly fine. It's not amazing. I don't think it's one of the best, comic movies ever, but I had a great time in the theater. I really enjoyed it. So I'll leave it at that. Is this the time traveling Flash? Like the movie? Yeah, there's a lot of time traveling in it, yeah. That is kind of what the movie is. Well, it's like universe traveling almost, but like it's time traveling that also creates different universes. They kind of cover the multiverse in an interesting way. I actually do like how they talk about it in the movie. Great soundtrack too, by the way. Gonna have to rewatch this because I'm seeing some god tier takes. Hell yeah. How you doing, by the way, Matsuki? How you doing? It is a grown-up superhero movie with so much emotion and a great lesson to learn. There is a lot of like comedy in this that some of it, like, I could understand why it wouldn't work for some people. Because I will admit, like, okay, here's an example. The other Barry, like the younger Barry, is really annoying. Really annoying. But, like, I don't find that a flaw with the movie. Like, I felt that was intentional, and it actually works from a comedic standpoint because a lot of the annoying shit he does is funny. So it worked for me. Like I don't, I didn't mind the fact that he was annoying. I know that sounds weird, but I thought it was fine. Refreshingly real and heartbreaking, like No Way Home. Yeah, I agree. Takes What'd you say? The Flash deserves some more credit? Yeah, I agree. Take it easy when you get up, but your butt and legs probably fall asleep. Jelly legs? Was that a quote in the movie, or am I just forgetting that? Or maybe that was a quote in the movie. Because I don't remember that quote. Unless you're just randomly saying that, which would be even funnier. But maybe that was a quote in the movie. I'm just forgetting. I don't know. What's up, Marveland? Yeah, that scene at the shop at the end. Yeah, that was probably my favorite scene in the movie. That's like the scene that solidified it as a great movie for me. Like before that, I was like, yeah, this is good. But that scene, I was like, okay, this is great. This is great. Just got back from seeing the Iron Claw. So good. Can't wait to see which tier you put it in. Oh yeah, we'll get to that very late on in the video though, because that's like I think the last movie on here. Yeah, that's the last. That's the last movie. I'm sorry, you're gonna have to wait quite a bit. All right. Well, I did say I'm gonna use the bathroom right now because I want to fill up my water as well. Let me put some thing on the screen just to let people know I'm gonna be right back because otherwise, what if they join and they're like, where the hell is this man at? All right. But appearing, I mean, what was I gonna say? Based on the rest of this list, we're probably gonna be here for another hour. So, don't worry, we'll be here for a bit. Okay, I will be right back. All right, I have returned. My face is soaking wet because I splashed cold water in my face, but there was no towels, so gonna use a tissue because it's the same shit. Why not? Okay. All right. Okay. Not a quote. You were sitting for over an hour. My legs. Okay. Yeah, I couldn't tell. Maybe I was like, did I forget? Was that actually a quote in the movie, or are you just saying that? I don't know. Okay. For some reason, it felt like you were quoting something. All right. Let's get back to it. I didn't watch it because I didn't want to support Ezra Miller. Yeah, a lot of people had that same thought process. My thought process though is like a lot of people worked on the movie, so like it's not. I don't feel like seeing it is necessarily unethical based on one person. That's the way I felt about a lot of things. But I can understand why people would have that though. So I'm not gonna like blame you for not seeing it because of that. But that's I personally think I just think of it like, okay, well, there's so many people that worked on it, and the main lead of the film is probably gonna get paid money regardless of how the film does. Whereas I feel like some other people working on the movie might be like negatively affected due to the movie doing worse. Whereas I feel like the main lead probably won't. But I guess in this case it was kind of different because that actually, I guess, could have affected whether or not Ezra Miller was brought back. I don't know. Okay, let's get back to it. No Hard Feelings is the next one on the list. This is a comedy, um, just really raunchy, interesting comedy with Jennifer Lawrence. I thought it was pretty good. I'm gonna put it probably at the bottom of good. No, maybe above Beau's Afraid. Yeah, above Beau's Afraid. So this one is about Jennifer Lawrence. Her character, I don't remember her character's name to be honest, but she is paid by these parents to attempt to date their 19-year-old son because the son they're like thinking the son just like needs to get out there and like get more friends, and they think that like okay, if he gets experience with this girl, then maybe he'll come out of his shell a little bit more, be a little more popular when he goes off to college, that sort of thing. And there's some interesting things with that. I think the comedy works for the most part, so I had a good time with it. I don't think it really needed to do much more than be funny, so it worked for me. Wasn't like amazing or anything, but it worked for the most part. CW Flash is better. I've heard. I've heard a lot of people want Grant Gustin to return as a Flash in the DCU, but I don't think they'll do that. Especially because I don't think he'd want. Would he want to return? Like after playing the Flash for like what, like 10 years or something? Like he'd probably just be like, "Yeah, bro, I'm done." I don't know. I've never seen the Flash series though, so I have no idea how I'd feel about him as a Flash. Okay. I don't have much to say about that movie to be honest, but Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. I'm gonna put it. Oh God, actually, I don't know because I feel like I liked it more than No Hard Feelings, but at the same time, I don't think I'd call this movie good. No, I think I would call it good. The thing about Indiana Jones for me is it was so disappointing to me, but it's still a good movie, which is kind of weird to say because, like, I don't really think any Indiana Jones movie is bad. I think they're all fine. I loved the first three more than anything. I think four was kind of teetering on the line of just being a good movie, but it's not like I don't think it's bad. I know a lot of people think it's terrible, but I think it's just Dial of Destiny though is actually my least favorite Indiana Jones film. I actually liked it less than Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, but I still thought it was pretty good. I think my biggest issues were like the structure of the film. Like first of all, the whole movie was just them just like being chased around essentially, and it's just this constant goose chase. And there's something that could be cool about that, but I started to feel like it was getting repetitive after a while. I also don't think it does much that interesting with the idea of Indiana Jones being, now 80 years old. Like they already did that in Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. They already did this, older version of Indiana Jones. Like that gimmick was already done. So doing it again, just I don't know. I think there was definitely something they could have done with this movie that could have been a lot better. Like, for example, passing the torch to someone else, which, yes, passing that down to his goddaughter makes sense, right? I would have rather it was short round, though. I wanted him to return to short round so badly. Kehu Kwan? Is that how you say his name? I wanted to return as short round so badly, but obviously he didn't because I think this came out or they were already filming this before he even started to become an actor again. So I don't think it was even possible for that to happen in the first place. But that would have been cool. I would have loved to see him like basically pass the torch down to him. But the girl, what was her name? Was it Helena? Helena Jones? She was fine. I think a lot of people thought she was like really annoying. I don't think she was that bad. I don't think she was great either, though. She was fine. And the villains were kind of just mediocre, to be honest. So I don't know. It's not my favorite Indiana Jones. Like I said, it's my least favorite, but I think it's still a good movie. Oh, that's funny. I just say a lot of people think she's annoying, and the first comment I see is someone saying the goddaughter is annoying. I know I can see why you would think that. Like, I don't really blame you. She is in some scenes, but I think as a whole, she's okay. For me, at least, I think she's okay. Spielberg liked. Does that affect your ranking? No. No, does not affect it. I think it's pronounced Ki Kwan. See, I still don't know if I'm saying it right, but I'll let's hope I am. Off topic, but I have a spider in my PS5. I thought you were gonna say you have like the Spider-Man PS5, like the special edition thing, but no, you just straight up have a spider in your PS5. Bro's trying to play Spider-Man 2. Okay. Um, yeah, disappointing movie, but still good. And here's a movie that was fucking the opposite of disappointing. Fucking Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning. I loved this movie. I know most people did, I think. I think it was highly rated. I think it has pretty much the similar ratings to like the recent Mission Impossibles. I don't think it was better than Fallout. It was definitely not better than Fallout, but it did pretty much everything I wanted it to do. It was a part one that felt like a complete movie, which is so important. It could easily still, it could doesn't have to even be called a part one. It could have definitely just been a regular movie. The story isn't finished, of course, so that's why they're calling it a part one, but it still feels like a complete movie. So that shit was great. The stunts were great. The action was great. I loved Haley Atwell's character here. She was one of the best new additions to this franchise. Tom Cruise as Ethan Hunt, great as always. Ilsa Faust was great in here. She had one of the best scenes in the entire franchise. And if you guys know, if you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. That bridge scene. That bridge scene was amazing. The music was on point. I like the villain. They had some ideas about like AI going on here, which a lot of movies have been doing that recently. But like what it could do, how it could affect, I guess, this world of what these movies are based on, basically. And the airport sequence was really cool as well. There's just so much cool shit in this movie. I'm gonna throw it an S. I liked it better than John Wick. I think John Wick is better for the action because there's just better, there's more violence to it. But I think Mission Impossible is just slightly better made, and I think the story is just slightly more interesting. So it's definitely S tier for me. Crap, didn't watch this Mission Impossible, can't really judge it. It's worth it, man. It's worth it. How many Mission Impossibles have there been now? This is the seventh Mission Impossible. And I believe there's only supposed to be one more. They're coming out with one more in 2025, and that will be the last one, according to them. I don't know if they're going to do spin-offs or something. They'll probably end up doing spin-offs if the movie does well, but I hope it's going to be the last one for Ethan Hunt, at least, and I hope it ends it off really good. So, yeah, definitely worth it. Worth it to see this one. Absolutely loved it. Favorite movie of the year? Damn. It's close to it. I'll say that much. It's close to the favorite for me. She was too disrespectful to Indy. That's the thing. Yeah, I can see that. That is an annoying trope, I guess, where like they have a character returning, a beloved character, just to have another character like belittle that character the whole movie. Sometimes I don't mind it. It depends how they do it, Obviously, they don't want the character to be likable in the first place because sometimes that's intentional. The character is not supposed to be likable, but I think Helena's supposed to be a likable character. So yeah, they probably shouldn't have had her, be just, like rude to Indy and such. But at the same time, it's kind of realistic. Like I feel like those characters would probably interact with a bantering feel in that movie. So I don't really mind it. I don't know. Rogue Nation is still my favorite. That's the fifth one, right? Yeah. It's it's definitely my top five. Well, I guess there's only 7 of them, but yeah, it's not my favorite. I know Fallout's my favorite for sure. I feel like it didn't offer much that wasn't shown in the trailers. Well, good for me. I didn't really watch the trailers, so to be honest, that could have affected my ranking. I actually didn't watch any of the trailers because I was reacting to all the Mission Impossible movies on the channel, and I reacted to all of them right before this came out. So I never got the chance to even watch the trailers. Anytime a trailer came up in the theaters, I turned away, closed my ears because I didn't want any spoilers, right? So I didn't see any trailers for it. So that is probably maybe affected my ranking. I don't know. What is the absolute worst movie of this year? Oh, don't worry, Marvelin. We already talked about it. It's right down here. Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. We talked about that pretty early on in the stream. Actually, it was one of the first movies we talked about. But yeah, that's the worst of the year. I just straight up said right off the bat, there's not going to be a worse movie down here. This is the worst movie of the year for sure. So yeah, don't worry about that. Not sure how accurate that is. Tom Cruise said he wants to continue the franchise until he's 80. Really? So, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 2 was said to be the final Mission Impossible in this like saga. But yeah, I guess it's possible Tom Cruise could continue the character in like other spin-offs or something, but I do believe they said it was going to be like I could be wrong. Maybe the studio said something different than Tom Cruise. I don't know. And I guess it probably would be Tom Cruise's final say. I have no idea. But I guess we'll see. I wouldn't mind seeing more. I also think it would fit well to end it with this next one. Tom Cruise cannot do those stunts with the cane. He can try. Cruise expressed interest in continuing to make further films in the series as Ethan Hunt, despite both films having initially been billed as a send-off to the character. Well, that explains it perfectly. So apparently he wants to do more, but the studio's like, nah, bro, we're ending it here. I guess we'll see. Yeah, I've seen the trailers for the Mickey Mouse stuff. I have seen it. I'll probably end up watching it, to be honest. Yeah, Mission Impossible, I would probably put in my top 10 favorite franchises. I agree. Not top 3 for me, but top 10 at least. Okay. Oh no, not Barbie. Okay, we got Barbie next. This is a big one that everyone's gonna love to talk about. If you watched my review or my reaction, I did a reaction for it. You probably already heard my thoughts on this movie, just slightly. I don't go too in depth with my thoughts for those videos because like I looked on the analytics and most people don't stick around for the after part of the reaction. So I thought to myself, why would I sit here reviewing this movie for like 20 minutes if people aren't going to watch it? They're just going to click off after the reaction. So I don't talk too much usually. I usually just talk for a couple minutes and then call it a day. So usually like movie reviews, rankings, those are probably better places to hear my thoughts on something. But Barbie, I never had that much interest in it. I'll be honest right off the bat. It's not my type of movie, obviously. Like it's just not. You know, I think if anybody knows my taste, they know that this is probably not the type of movie I was going to be itching to see, right? But I heard a lot of good things. I think Greta Gerwig, you know, I've seen what is it called? Lady Bird? It's Lady Bird, right? I was going to say Little Bird, but I don't think it's called Little Bird. It's Lady Bird. Yeah. I like that movie. I think it's good. So I was like, you know, maybe this is going to be a lot better than I thought it was going to be. You know, I didn't expect it to be that great, but some people have been saying it's great. A lot of people that I trust, though, like in terms of like movie reviewers and such, just, you know, some online, like a lot of them kind of said the same thing where they're like, they appreciated it a lot. They thought it was really interesting, but like it just wasn't something that they really connected with and they didn't. Okay. A lot of people said that. So I thought that's probably what's going to happen with me. But to be honest, I have no idea. I have to wait till I watch it and then I'll make my opinion, which I did on my reaction in like a couple weeks ago. And I ended up thinking it was an interesting movie. I think it handles a lot of topics interestingly. I don't think it handles them that well, though. I just don't. I think the way it was handled, it felt like the best way I can describe it is, well, okay, this is what confused me, honestly. Probably one of the biggest things is I honestly thought this was going to be more of like a children's movie. I did, but it really wasn't. It felt more mature, I guess. But at the same time, it doesn't really handle any of the themes in the story in a mature way. All of it feels so like it feels like you're trying to explain like sexism and patriarchy to a child, which in a movie that doesn't feel like it's for children, it just doesn't feel that way based on some of the dialogue and some of the things the characters do. So immediately the tone was off for me. And if it isn't for children, that's fine. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but that automatically makes the story feel a lot less interesting and it feels more shallow compared to what it probably should be. And then also, if it's not for children, then okay, why is the story feel like it is? You know what I mean? That's kind of my issue. So for that, I'm probably going to put it, I want to say average. Because what I did love was the set design. Love the set design. Some pretty good music in it. The acting was pretty good, but like it wasn't like the best acting, you know, performances I've ever seen. Like I would not, if I was handing out Oscars, I don't think anybody in this movie would be getting an Oscar for acting. But then again, it's a very different type of movie that doesn't really require like some really deep acting. It's kind of just surface level like comedy acting. But not that comedy acting can't be great. It can be, of course. There's tons of, comedy acting that has been amazing, but nothing that really stands out. So I want to give it C, but I feel like at the same time, I don't even think it should be that high for me. It's not going to go in F. I would not call this movie bad. Don't get me wrong. I would not call it bad. Right off the bat. I want to say bottom of C or top of D. I'll hear what you guys think first. And maybe I'll make up my mind by the time I, read some comments. Because it's going to be one or the other. I'll leave it there for now. But we'll see. Not a woman fan, huh? That's like, that was like my least favorite thing on Twitter, man. Seeing so many people. Actually, that happened for the Marvels as well. That's not just for Barbie. It happened for the Marvels as well. Like anyone who hated on the movie immediately was met with people who are like, you must just not like women. It's like, that's like the worst argument you can make to someone who says that, because like it's such a surface level thing. Like, what is the person supposed to say? Like, what are they supposed to say to that? Like, you're just putting them in a corner. Like, you're forcing them to like a movie that they don't like just because it has a woman lead. That doesn't make any sense. Like, what? I don't know. I might put it in D, honestly. I don't know. Yeah, I'm probably gonna throw it down to D. I kind of even want to put it below Ant-Man. Oh no. I kind of want to put it below Ant-Man. And the things people were telling me were great about it weren't even that great. They were like, oh my God, Alan's the best. Alan was in like 2 minutes of the movie. What do you mean? He didn't do anything. Like, I love Michael Cera. He's a really good actor, but he's in 2 minutes of the movie. He could be taken out of the movie. It wouldn't make a difference. Why are you telling me it was such a great part of the movie if it clearly wasn't? He doesn't do anything. He didn't do it. He had one funny moment where he screamed, and I thought that was hilarious. But like, his character could be removed. The movie would be the same. You're Knuff. Yeah, I guess. I don't know, man. Ken carried the movie. I don't even think he was that great. I think Ryan Gosling was great in terms of acting. But the character, I was like, I don't know. I enjoyed it, except the Mattel executives being very cartoonish. Yeah, they were a bit too cartoonish because they're from the real world. They shouldn't be cartoonish if they're from the real world. That's a good point. How much more interesting would it have been if the real world felt more like the real world? And so it was actually like this, interesting, like, because like these executives in real life, they're not gonna be like that, bro. They were like the fucking like from straight out of Looney Tunes. Like, remember that scene where they were running around and they were all being all like weird? They were weirdly running like real people don't do that. If you wanted to make a real point about the difference between Barbie Land and the real world, make the real world actually feel like the real world. Have the people actually act like the real world people rather than like they're fucking from a cartoon. That's a good fucking point. I did not think of that. But that's kind of part of the reason why I think those scenes, like, I was so interested in seeing what it would be like for this Barbie to go into the real world. But like, you're right. It did feel weird. A lot of that. Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure the actors had fun making it. It looked like it would be fun to make. Like I said, the set design was fantastic. Awesome shit. Yeah, my mouth gets so dry. It's so bad. That's what streaming does to you. Kate McKinnon was the best part of the Barbie. Well, who is Kate McKinnon? Hold on. I gotta look this up because I need to know who you're talking about. I actually don't know who that is. Um, oh, she was weird Barbie. Oh, yeah, okay. I didn't know the name though, to be honest. Yeah, I thought that idea was cool. I'll give it that. Honestly, I'm doing it. I'm sorry. I started thinking about it more. I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't know. I would love to see like I think there's an interesting concept there, but like I said, I wasn't really interested in the concept to begin with, so I don't really think I was the target audience, and that's okay. It's okay. My list is not the like the definitive ranking. It's just my opinion. It's just my subjective list. That's it. I think the executives were cartoonish in the movie. When they watched the movie, they would have been seen too much in the antagonist. They would have seen themselves too much in the. Oh yeah, you mean like they didn't want to make them seem like actual villains, so they made themselves kind of just fun and goofy instead. Yeah, I could see that. Name 10 women. I don't know. I don't know. Actually, I love those videos. You ever see those videos where it's like name a woman? That's it. And some people literally they can't do it because they're so on the spot. Like obviously they can do it. It's just like they're so on the spot that they just like freak out and they're like, I don't know. It's so funny. Okay. Oh, Oppenheimer's next. Great. That's going top of S right there. Boom. Okay. Oh, that was so ironic. I said boom when I dropped it, and it's a movie about a bomb. Okay. Um. All right. Oppenheimer is a masterpiece. I don't think I have a single flaw for it, except for when I watched it in the theaters, the mixing of the audio sounded a little off. Like sometimes the music was louder than the dialogue, but I think that was just a problem with my theater. I don't actually think that was a problem with the movie, but I could be wrong. I don't know. The movie's a masterpiece, though. It tells this story of Oppenheimer in such an engaging way. You are so immersed into it all the way through. It takes you through what's being told kind of through a subjective point of view versus an objective point of view. I think that a lot of dark shit in there. And so yeah, it's a masterpiece. It's a movie I was excited for just because it's Christopher Nolan's movie, but it wasn't like my most anticipated movie. It was actually only like number 7 or 8 on the most anticipated movies of this year, but it ended up being my favorite. I thought it was just so fucking good. So, yeah. Why does 28 Days Later hate Asians? What? Kenny, you're gonna have to explain that, bro, because I don't know what you're talking about. I know the movie, but I don't see the correlation there. I don't know. Make a separate tier list called Oppenheimer tier. You know, how about we do that in our minds? Because honestly, yes, it deserves its own tier, but I don't want to do it because it will make the list look less pretty. So I'm not going to do it. But you are right. It probably deserves its own tier. So I was hoping Godzilla would show up at the end. It was kind of interesting though, because like some of the most well-loved movies of this year had to do with the atomic bomb. You have Oppenheimer, and then you had Godzilla minus one. It's interesting that that happened, but yeah, Oppenheimer. I don't really have much more to say about it. I did a review. I did my top 10 of the year. Talked about it a lot there. It is one of Christopher Nolan's best films. It's still not even my top like 4 Christopher Nolan films though. Like he's made so many phenomenal movies that it's just hard for me to like um possibly put Oppenheimer above some of those others, but it's still deserving of being one of the best of the year for sure. Okay. Well, that means next up is Cobweb. Ooh, okay. So Cobweb was interesting, and I was really hoping to like it more than I did because I thought it was really freaking interesting. But I think the end didn't really land well with me. I'm just gonna throw it right here for now. But so Cobweb, if you haven't checked this out, it's a very like underrated, not underrated, not well known horror film that came out this year, and I watched it on Hulu, I believe, like a couple weeks ago. Actually, the guy from who plays Homelander, what's his name? He's in this. Don't remember his name. But essentially, it's about these parents who have been keeping a lot of secrets from this kid, and the secrets involve some really creepy shit in the house. I'm not going to spoil what it is, but it's creepy shit. The end did not land though. That is the issue. And that's such a prevalent issue with horror movies for me, where like the first 2 acts is so great. Anthony Starr, yes, okay. He's in this, he's great. The first 2 acts is like really great, really creepy, really intense. And then once you get the reveal of what it is, it's like, okay, it's cool. But then what they actually end up doing with it, I'm like, that's not as good as it could have been. So I thought it was an average movie. Could have been a lot better, but it's fine. Did not watch Saltburn. No, I did not. Maybe I'll check it out. I don't know. Eventually. Unfortunately, saw Oppenheimer in the shittiest theater I've probably ever been in. The chairs were trash, and I was sitting right next to a huge wall that was blocking a corner. Oh no. Bro, that sounds terrible. Actually, I think they're showing Oppenheimer again in theaters soon. So if you want to see it again, you got it showing in your theater near you. I would personally do it, but actually, would I do it? I don't know. Oppenheimer, I think, is a really well-paced movie as well, so I feel like you probably could rewatch it. It would probably be good. We got to speed this along so I can watch your American Horror Story 110 reaction. That was a great episode. That was a great episode. I'll probably upload it to YouTube in a few days. I don't know. I just uploaded episode 9 today. Did you end up seeing the Five Nights at Freddy's movie? Yes. Yes. That is going to be talked about real soon. Okay. They are when? I don't know. I read it somewhere. I don't quote me on it, but I read it somewhere. I think it said January, so I think it should be this month, but I could be wrong. It could be never showing ever again. I'm just completely wrong, but I heard it was showing again, so I don't know. You're a walking AMC ad, pretty much. Okay. What's next? Talk to Me. Ooh, okay. So this is the movie directed by the Raka Raka YouTubers, and I was excited for this because I freaking love their videos. They have some pretty funny videos, interestingly directed as well. They're really good quality for YouTube. So I was excited to see their first ever feature film. And I'm going to put it in great. Yeah, that's a great movie. Kind of surprised me actually. I thought it was really cool. It had this like creepy hand that like you hold it and you can like kind of like talk to like dead people, and I thought that concept is really cool. I haven't seen anything exactly like that. I mean, it's not that different than some other things, but it's different enough. But it's so well directed. There's a lot of cool shots that they do. They're very creative with their directing, so I'll give it credit there. The acting's pretty good. A lot of new actors I've never seen before because it takes place in Australia. A lot of Australian actors, so I've never seen any of them. So that was cool. Yeah, I think it's one of the best horror movies of the year, actually. Probably my second favorite of the year for horror. I was mad uncomfortable watching Oppenheimer with my stepdad because of the sex scenes. Yeah, I could see that. Hey, there's a lot worse movies out there with those scenes though. There's some movies that have it for like 5 minutes straight. So honestly, I think Oppenheimer is the not it's tame compared to some other movies. I'll say that much. I didn't see The Exorcist, the new Exorcist. No, I was actually gonna watch it, but I don't know. Didn't have time, I guess. Didn't love the ending though. Yeah, I mean, I guess I didn't love it either, to be honest, but I didn't dislike it. Like I still enjoyed the ending. I just didn't think it was like the best possible ending they could have done for the movie. So yeah, compared to other movies, I mean, there's movies that like straight up like porn. Like I can't say the word because YouTube might demonetize me for it. Will they demonetize? Actually, no. Will they? I don't know. I feel like YouTube's really weird with that sometimes. Like sometimes they'll demonetize you for the stupid. Like that would be stupid if they demonetized me for saying that. But I'm just I'm playing it safe here. But I do think there's movies that are way more intricate with their sex scenes. I don't think Oppenheimer was that bad. It was like maybe like a minute, but I could still see it being uncomfortable watching it with like a parent or something. It could still create that experience for sure. Just say corn. Oh god. Okay. Talk to Me was pretty good. One of the better YouTuber movies out there. Definitely. I was the only one there. Watched Talk to Me in the theater. It was an amazing experience. I would love to have that experience once. Actually, I think I did. No, I almost did. Morbius. Morbius, I was like one of like four people in the theater. So it was almost like a lone experience because they were so far away from me that it felt like I was completely by myself, but I wasn't completely by myself. So I've only actually seen two movies by myself without like, in terms of like not someone with me. And it was the Batman and Morbius. Only two movies I've seen by actually no, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. That was the third one. Those three saw by myself. That's it. Not that I can't see movies by myself. I know some people say that. I could definitely do it. It's just I prefer not to. And if I can have someone come with me, I'm always gonna try. Worst thing, having to poop in the middle of the Oppenheimer. Oh my god. Yeah, I'm laughing because I can relate to that shit. Not for Oppenheimer, but like I've had movies where I'm like, damn, I gotta go, and it's just like I'm not doing it though. Like I want to watch this movie. All right. Um, what's the next? Wait, did we just put a movie down? No, we did Talk to Me, right? Yeah, no, we're done with that. Blue Beetle. Surprisingly, this is the only movie in August. I like only new August movie I watched. What other movies released in August? Because there's only one I watched, which is kind of crazy. To be fair, I mean, I was in Mexico for two weeks, so like I didn't have much time to see new movies, anyways. Oh, The Last Voyage of the Demeter. I never saw that. Shit, I should have watched that. I didn't. I heard it wasn't that good, but like I wanted to see that so badly. I never watched it. Fuck. I should have watched that before this list. Whatever. Maybe I'll update you guys if I ever do watch it. Blue Beetle. I'm thinking bottom of good. Probably bottom of good. I was debating top of average, but I'm probably gonna say good because I do think it was good. I did watch this one in Mexico, which was interesting. Um, I wasn't able to do like a full review on it because of that. I just did like a little like YouTube short review, but I thought it was a good movie. It had a lot of problems with the villains, especially. I just wasn't interested in the villains. I thought the family dynamic was cool. Maybe the family was included a little bit too much because that's one of my biggest criticisms with some comic book movies, especially recent ones. For some reason, recent ones love to do this, where they get the side characters so involved to the point where like they're heroes themselves, and I don't really like that. Like I kind of like it when the hero is the only hero there, and everyone else the hero either needs to save or protect or whatever it has, there needs to have a certain level of grounding just because of that. Because I think realistically, you're fighting these like pretty high powered people here. You would think that like, these average people aren't going to be like, out there fighting like everyone else. So actually Spider-Man Homecoming, not Homecoming, Far From Home was one of the worst cases of that too. Cause like, I don't want to see that. Like, I want to see the hero saving the side characters. That to me is what makes superhero movies special a lot of the time. And I feel like a lot of the recent ones, they're like, no, no, no. All the side characters have to be really badass. We got to have all of them be cool. Why? Why? Because when everyone's cool, then no one's cool. You know what I mean? But I love the family from just a character perspective, though. They were cool characters. It's just you shouldn't have had them as involved in those later moments, like having, George Lopez's character freaking driving a giant beetle around. Like, okay, it's cool, but like it was a bit much. It was too much for me. I think the character himself, though, of Blue Beetle was great. I really liked the acting, of course. I forget the actor's name. He's great though in the role, and I really enjoyed the soundtrack. I really enjoyed the atmosphere of the movie, just in terms of like where it was located, and a lot of the action scenes were well shot. So it's a good movie. I'm not gonna, say it was one of the best DCEU movies, but it was good. It was good. How was the theater experience? In Mexico, it was actually really good. It was a really good theater. It was a what was it? What was it called? I forget what the theater was called, but it was a really good one. It was a really good one. Um, it was one of those theaters that you can like have like food be brought to you. So I didn't do that though because I didn't want any food in the moment. I think I wasn't really hungry, but it was it was a good theater. Comfy seats too. Probably the most comfortable seats I've ever sat in, actually. Oh, someone's actually. Oh, that was the first one, Cinepolis. Probably not saying it right, but I think it was that one. That's the one I went to, and it was in. Was it in Puebla? I think we were in Puebla. It's around there somewhere. Puebla City, I think. I don't know. I wasn't the one driving around, so I don't know. I don't know. I forget exactly where everything was. I remember where we went, but like I don't remember the exact names of all the different, where everything was located exactly. Yes, it was that one, but I probably said it wrong. I probably said it terribly, terribly wrong. Oh, but it was fun. It was fun. Okay. The Nun 2. Oh boy. Yeah, The Nun 2 is going in bad. That is a bad movie. I didn't like the first Nun either. So I didn't go into this thinking to myself, "Oh my god, I can't wait for Nun 2." No, I didn't really care. I was not excited for it. I think it's better than the first one, but that's not saying much, man. That's not saying much. It was really really bad. I don't know. It's not worse than these other ones though. I think I still liked it more than The Pope's Exorcist and these other three. But yeah, story was bad. The scares were bad. The characters were okay. I'll give it that. I actually thought the characters were decent. The main actress, what's her name again? Isn't she the one from American Horror Story? Farminga. What's her fucking name? The one, the main actress in this one. Isn't she the one in American Horror Story that I'm watching right now? I think so. I think my girlfriend told me that, but I'm not sure. Because I know there's a couple different Farmingas. Farmingas, am I saying that? Am I saying that right? Please, someone tell me, please. Glad to hear a Mexican here. That's why I ask. Yeah, it was. I think it was the first one, Cinepolis. I don't think I'm saying it right though. But it was a nice theater. It was a nice theater. It was in a mall, I think. It was like connected to a mall. Tessa Farminga. Okay. Yes, so I'm right. Yeah, she plays Violet. Okay, all right. I was right. Okay, cool, cool, cool. She was good in the movie. She was good. I actually love The Nun 2. It was a great movie. I am so glad you liked it. I am so glad. Are they doing a third one? That'd be so funny if they did a third one. Yeah, because there's the other Farminga, right? The one from the Conjuring films. Oh. Okay. All right. Next up, When Evil Lurks. I already have to pee again, which is crazy because I just went. When Evil Lurks, I watched this like a couple days ago, and I heard it was a really good movie. I thought it had some cool moments, some scary moments, but I don't think it was as good as I was hoping. So I'm gonna put it probably either. No, I'll put it in good. I think it was a good film. It's actually I think it's an Argentinian film. I think it is, right? I should probably look that up just to be sure. Um, Details. Yeah, Argentina. Yeah, okay. So it's in Spanish and it's pretty good. I thought it had some cool scares. It's like got some terrifying like I don't want to say terrifying. Okay, it's less terrifying, it's more disturbing. That's a better way to say it. There's one scene that like legitimately was one of the most disturbing things I've seen in a horror film. So I'll give it that. I just don't think I cared about the story too much or the characters. Like I just wasn't really that immersed in the story. there was just a couple moments that had my jaw on the floor. That's what I'll give it. Like there's like 3 moments that are like freaking like what the fuck was that? Like type of stuff, you know? But that's kind of it. Yo, this. Thank you for the $2 donation. I appreciate it. You've seen the Terrifier movies? They're skull emojis. I have seen them. I've seen both of them. I watched the second one on my channel. So if you want to see that reaction, go check that out for sure. Because that was a great reaction. That was, yeah, great shit. That was actually my top 10 movies of last year, actually. So, yeah. Just use a bottle. No one will know. I don't know how people do that, man. That like I just could never do that. I absolutely hate the Terrifier movies. Oh, I know a lot of people do. I don't like the first one. I think the first one's pretty bad, but the second one's like one of my like I don't know why. I loved it. Like I don't know why. There's something about the vibe of it, the atmosphere, the music, the kills. Like it was just really cool. So I'll give it credit. Is the first Insidious the only Insidious movie you've seen so far? Yes. I wanted to watch the rest, but I just never got a chance to. And I didn't love the first one, I'll be honest. Like I love James Wan's movies, but I didn't love the first one that much. I thought it was fine. I didn't love it. I didn't love it enough to be like so antsy to jump to the next one. But I might do it in the future just to see what the other ones are like. Because I've heard people say the second one's better than the first, so I don't know. Maybe it is. But yeah, When Evil Lurks, I think it's worth watching, but I didn't love it. I just thought it was good. Yeah, the practical effects in Terrifier 2. Yeah, exactly. They're phenomenal stuff. Phenomenal. All right. So we're gonna do the creator next, but I have to pee so badly. I'm sorry, I have to do it. So we're just gonna put this right here, and I will be right back. Oh wait, did I accidentally move this? Oh no, I did. There we go. That's better. Nice. Okay. I will be right back. Put this up here where you guys can see it clearly. Okay, cool. Oh no, I did it again. Stop moving it. Actually, I could lock it in place. Why don't I just do that? Okay. I will be right back. All right. Okay. I gotta stop going to the bathroom. I feel like every time I go to the bathroom, 10 people leave the stream. I don't blame them though, because I would do the same shit. I am watching some guy fucking. I'm not staying in the stream if some guy leaves. I ain't doing that. Okay, I ran back down the stairs to get here. Okay. Oof. All right. It's just a shock farming film, and I have a soft spot for women in some reason women are just extra tortured and terrifying. I can't stand it. No, I get that. It definitely has that shock value to it where like, yes, a movie has a lot of moments where you can tell they're just doing it just to purely just, disturb the hell out of people. Um which is fair. I can certainly see why a lot of people wouldn't like that. I personally do though. I think I there's extents where like yes, there's certain movies where I don't want them to go far with gore and violence, but then there's also some movies where I kind of like the creativity it can bring to just let the director just go loose with it and do whatever the hell he wants with the characters. And that's kind of what those movies are, to be honest. They're very much independent films. They are, right? I think they are independent. I don't think. I'm sure the third one won't be because they'll probably like, some studio will probably buy it out at some point. I don't know. The Creator is the next one though. This one, I'm gonna put it top of greats. It's not gonna get S. I feel like my only issue with this movie is I feel like it didn't spend enough time on character moments, just dialogue between the main character and the little girl. I think that was so necessary for their bond to work a lot better, and they kind of missed out on that. But everything else was fantastic. Even just the characters themselves were still great. I just wanted more with that, and I think it would have made those emotional moments in the later half of the film a lot better. The visuals are amongst some of the best of the entire year. I think it probably is one of the best looking movies of the year. Gareth Edwards is really great. He's a really good visionary. Everything looks fantastic here, whether it's the CGI or just the cinematography, just the shots, the landscape. Like everything just looks so good here. And it's essentially a story about like what can happen if AI robots were genuinely like a thing just in society that was normalized, and certain countries not liking that, certain countries being against it, essentially to the point where like war would be just constantly raging. And I really do think they handle it in an interesting way. I just don't know if like I said, I just don't think the most important aspect of this movie, which is the relationship between the main character and the little girl, it doesn't exactly perfectly work for me. But it was close enough to the point where I would call the movie great. So I saw a lot of hate for the movie, surprisingly. A lot of people called it really generic, which I'll give you that. It does have a lot of, it is kind of derivative from a lot of other movies out there. But I also don't think that makes it a bad movie, because it does try to do something at least different with it in terms of, like I guess more of like a combination of a lot of movies you've seen. More so of it being just like a movie you've seen. It's more like a combination of aspects from movies you've seen, I guess, is the best way to put it. So it does feel new enough because of that, but I don't know. I'm not sure what most people's criticisms are for the movie, but I have heard the main one being that they feel like it's very derivative. The Creator was really good, awesome, epic standalone sci-fi. We need more of this. I agree. Take it easy on the beverage. Don't drink too much. Yeah, but my throat, man, it gets dry. It gets dry. So I need the water. Do Wonka next. We'll get to Wonka because it's in order of when they released. So that's going to be in December. So right now we're in like September, I guess. Have you seen Chappie in District 9? No, I have not. Indiana Jones only in B? Yeah, I thought it was a little disappointing. It's still good though. It's still in a good tier, Flash in A tier? Oh yeah. Oh yeah, it is. I'm not gonna go over again why I put it there. As much as I would love to talk about it more, but I don't want to be here too long going back to old movies that we've already talked about. So I will say you are able to go back at any point. YouTube thankfully allows that. I know Twitch doesn't, which I always hated. But like while you're watching, you can just scroll back, and you can probably pretty easily find when I was talking about the Flash. So you can see exactly why I put it there. But yeah, I think it belongs there. Yeah, Rogue One's fantastic. So I was pretty confident the movie would be good just because of that. I know you've mentioned liking the original Goosebumps TV series. Were you aware Ryan Gosling played the main character in the Say Cheese or Die episode? I had no idea. No. Damn. I mean, to be fair, I haven't watched maybe that specific episode in a long time, but I had no idea he was even on Goosebumps. So I'm sure if I rewatched it recently, I would be able to tell. But that's interesting. I'll have to rewatch it again then, just because of that. Um, do you ever plan on reacting to the What If Marvel series? I thought about it, but I don't think the What If series is that interesting to me. I liked the first season when I watched it, but I never was like I never cared that much about it, so I don't think I would do reactions, but if people wanted it, I would, I guess. I don't know. I was very confused by some of the character decisions and plot development in the third act of The Creator. Did anyone else feel this way? I mean, that's kind of what I'm saying, at least in terms of the like I said, it's not like that terrible of a thing for me. That's why it's still great. But I do think the characterization between the main character and the little girl needs to be just a tiny bit stronger, just a tiny bit stronger. And then I think yes, his motivations would have made more sense in the end. If you're talking about his motivations, then that's who I'm talking about right now. But I'm not sure if you're talking about that same character. Um, District 9 reaction. I'd love to do that someday for sure. Is The Walking Dead your favorite show ever? Yes. Gotta go. It was fun. Hoping next stream will be soon. Take care, dude. All right, see you, Robert. Thank you for watching. Okay. But yeah, I like I said, great movie, but I could definitely see why some people had some issues with it. No One Will Save You. Now, this is a movie that got a lot of hype. It's a silent film, so essentially there's no talking in it. Just one character just dealing with this alien invasion, pretty much. And it's really weird type of aliens. Actually, no, they're kind of generic aliens, honestly. They look just like generic aliens, but they act a bit weirder. They're not like normal ones in terms of how they act. And it's kind of just her just getting just so fed up with the situation, to be honest. And I think it's average. Silent films are automatically not going to be something I'm going to be that interested in to begin with, but it's a cool gimmick that works for most of the runtime. But then at the same time, I just don't think it was that great. So average is the best for that movie, I guess. Would you react to the original Goosebumps? Probably not, because I feel like I've already seen all the episodes. Most of them were when I was a kid, to be fair, but I've still probably seen all of them. So, oh wait, Hayden Christensen was in one. Now I gotta rewatch Goosebumps because yeah, I haven't watched most of it since I was a kid. So, damn, I gotta rewatch that shit. Okay, wow. My favorite episode was always the Ghost Next Door. Was that the episode? It was something about the Ghost Next Door. I forgot what the exact title was, but that was definitely my favorite one. Okay, what's up next? I don't really have much to say more about that movie. Saw X. Hell yes. Okay. Saw X is my favorite horror movie of 2023, easily. But unfortunately, it's not even that high. It's like it's still in the A tier. It's still high, but like there's still a lot of movies that are going to be above it. Unfortunately, I just don't think this was the like that good of a year for horror. I don't think it was bad, but like when you compare it to last year, especially last year was a lot better. Last year had a lot more consistently good horror films. I mean, just think off the top of my head, you had Smile, Barbarian, Terrifier 2. There was I think just a lot more that even Nope, Jordan Peele's Nope. Like there was a lot more horror movies that I think were worth seeing. This year, I don't think there was that many, to be honest. Like my top four is literally Saw X, Talk to Me, Evil Dead Rise, and Scream 4. I think that's literally my top four horror movies, right? So yeah, I clearly didn't like that many horror movies this year, considering all four of those are not top of A and they're definitely not an S. Um, but yeah, Saw X is great though. Saw X was really underrated. I thought it was probably one of the best Saw movies. It actually had a story to it, which is unlike most Saw movies. No, Saw movies always have stories to it, but like a lot of them are not that good. They feel very contrived. A lot of it just feels like really messy storytelling. This one though, generally did some great stuff with the character of John Kramer. He goes to Mexico to get this surgery, and it ends up being a scam from this company that's just you find out in the movie pretty evil. and then he ends up doing the saw traps on them. And it's so unique because it's a lot more personal this time around, which is why John is actively showing his face instead of what he usually does, where he sets them up in a room and has the little Billy the puppet come out, like very different types of stuff that he usually does. This one's a lot more personal. He's literally down there talking to his victims, which is really interesting. And they have a lot of interesting conversation with that, just story wise. The traps are not my favorite in this series. They're definitely good, but some of them are like, yeah, maybe a bit too much because like some of it's really unrealistic. Like, okay, it's a horror movie. I get most of these are usually a little unrealistic, but I wish they had a little bit more of a sense of realism there because, like, for example, one of the girls to cut off her leg, like, I just don't think her reaction to it was as real as it probably would have been. She probably would have passed out like a minute into it, even not even a minute, like 20 seconds into it, she probably would have been knocked out. Like, I don't know. Whatever. It's still a great movie though. I really enjoyed it. So if you're a fan of Saw movies, I think you probably enjoyed Saw X. I'm trying to fix my hair real quick. What should I do with my hair? Because I feel like all the time it's just I don't know what to do with this part ever. It's always just like, yeah, you know? I don't know. The Goosebumps creator is apparently a giant creep. R.L. Stine, really? Damn. Disappointing. The Goosebumps movie is pretty fun. I did watch the Goosebumps movie actually. I've already seen it. I don't think I watched the second one though. I think I've only seen the first one. I'm not into torture horror genre, but this was an interesting take. Still not sure what to think of Kramer's morals. Of course, he's not a nice guy. Yeah, it goes in depth with his morals. I did like that a lot. And yeah, it definitely was different than just the typical torture stuff that, the Saw movies usually do. It definitely felt more based on the character, which is why I think it worked so well and ended up being so damn good. Because it was character and story first. It wasn't torture, gore first, which I think that's why it ended up being that good. Yeah, I could see that. I guess some of his morals sometimes are a bit fishy, but I think that's almost intentional because it's like he's definitely an imperfect man. Like he's not meant to be the good guy. I know he is technically the protagonist in this movie, but like he's obviously not a good guy. That's like I don't think the movie's trying to say that. I did see someone say that as a negative for the movie. They're like, "Oh my god, they're trying to make John Kramer into a hero." I don't think that's what they were doing. He's very clearly not a good guy, but he's also just dealing with people who are even worse than him. He's dealing with people that are even more evil. So it's just like not all of them though, obviously, like which was what made the moral dilemma so interesting, especially with the character of what's her name? Oh my god, no way I'm forgetting her name. I did this once. Oh, what's her name? There's no way. It's not Abby, right? I'm looking this up. I'm gonna get pissed if I don't figure this out. Amanda. Oh, of course it's Amanda. I knew it started with an A. That's why I thought it was Abby. Um, her character there though was great because obviously she's been in a trap before, so the dilemma there between her and Kramer was really good. Like there's genuinely some great stuff there. I will give Saw that 100%. I think the creators are running out of ideas as far as saw traps are concerned. That was inevitable. I have so many ideas too. Maybe that makes me a sick person, but like I have a lot of ideas for some interesting saw traps that I would love to see in those movies. But yeah, I can agree that some of them are a bit repetitive though. I think they should have some that deal like less about like a lot of them are usually like cut off a limb or die. Like that's a lot of them are something like that, like cut off this limb or die. Even if it's not exactly that, it usually results in that. But there's a lot of other interesting ones that I think they could do. Like maybe some that involve more like physical things where like you're not necessarily like harming yourself, but you're more so like you could harm yourself doing this, or like maybe something they have to exert so much physical force to save yourself in order to not get fucked up, basically. But usually the traps leave them wounded in some major way, shape, or form, which is fair. That's kind of the whole point. But there's also some that don't, I guess. I don't know. The new Goosebumps series is actually pretty good on Disney Plus. Yeah, I saw the trailers for it, but I didn't get a chance to check it out. Maybe I will. I don't know. Okay, let's do the next movie. Totally Killer. Okay, I was actually excited for this. It looked pretty cool. It's basically like a Back to the Future slasher of some sort, where it's this girl goes back in time and she's basically trying to figure out this whole murder case, and it's a whodunit slasher. So it's like, oh, you don't know who did it, and one of the characters in the movie likely did it. I think a lot of it worked, and a lot of it also didn't work for me. I thought it was really fun, which is important, obviously, for a movie to be fun. So I'll give it that. It is fun. But the thing is it good? Um, I feel like I will say I'm probably in the minority on this. I do think most people like this movie a lot more than I did. I'm probably gonna put an average. I'm just not sure where an average. Did I like it more than Megan? I think I liked it more than Megan at least. A lot of it also like I don't think it ended that great, to be honest. I think that was one of my issues as well. Um, I probably liked it more than that though. No One Will Save You. Yeah, that's probably a good spot for it. This is a pretty even ranking right now. Like the only thing that's not got that many movies is S tier, which is usually how it should be. I feel like S tier is reserved for like the really, really good shit. But so far, this seems right to me. Yeah. What do you guys think about Totally Killer? Not sure how many people watched it though, but I feel like my channel has a lot of people who love slashers because a lot of you guys came from Scream. Like I would bet at least 5 or 6 of you in the stream right now have probably found me from my Scream videos. A lot of people did. For my channel, it's either Scream, The Walking Dead, Game of Thrones, or I guess now American Horror Story. It was like the 4 things people discover me from. I guess it could technically be something else, but The Hunger Games as well. A lot of people discover me from that too. I guess just whichever videos ended up spiking up my subscriber count a lot is usually, I feel like, where people discover me. But yeah, it's a totally fine slasher. I did not even mean. I swear that was not intentional. I didn't. That was 100% coincidental for me to say that. I swear, 100%. No pun was intended, but it ended up being a really good pun. Yeah, Scream, just a great franchise for reactions. So I definitely recommend anyone who wants to do reactions and hasn't seen Scream, go react to Scream. People will watch that shit because they're fun movies to watch. People react to for sure. Why do so few horror movies have great endings? Yeah, no, I've said this before. A lot of horror movies miss in the third act, and I know why. Most horror movies don't get to the main dish until the third act, right? Because a lot of times it'll be all build up. So the first 2 acts is build up. You don't see the monster yet. You don't know who the slasher is. You don't know who's doing the killings. All you know is that tension's being built up. There's cool kills, cool stuff's happening, and you're all in, right? And then the third act is usually where the big reveal is left to us, where we end up seeing who's the slasher. We end up seeing what the monster looks like. We end up seeing what's actually going on. What's the mystery here? And if that mystery is not good, if that, killer reveal is not good, if the monster does not look as cool as you thought it would, then it's gonna make the ending kind of shit. So I think that's why a lot of horror movies don't land in the third act, because most other movies don't have that problem. Most other movies don't have this big reveal in the end type thing where it's like, oh, you were waiting for that reveal. You were waiting for that moment. You know what I mean? So I kind of think that's my answer to that. I think that makes a lot of sense. A lot of horror movies I think have great endings, but I'm just saying that is a problem with a lot of them, I will say. So, okay. Next up, Radical. Ooh, this is a fun one. So, this is a fun one because I love talking about movies that I know a lot of people probably haven't seen. That's I feel like it's like a special thing, you know? It's like it's like a movie that I know most of you probably haven't seen, so it's like kind of fun to talk about because it's like I'm introducing a movie to new people. And actually, it's gonna go in great. It's gonna go right up below The Flash, probably right here. It's damn high on my list. Yeah, Radical is really high. So this is a Mexican film, so it's in Spanish, and it is about this teacher who is, at this very underprivileged school, and he's essentially teaching these students here in a very radical way, which is why it's called Radical. And it's very radical because essentially, um, you have to watch the movie to see what his actual teaching methods are, but they're obviously very different than what normal teaching methods would normally be like. But he knows that these kids do not care to learn otherwise, and especially given that they're in a very underprivileged school, they don't have as many opportunities to even learn in the first place. So he tries to do all these crazy things, but the administration and the higher ups, like, they don't like that. They're telling him, no, you have to teach normally. You have to teach them the curriculum. You have to stay within the core curriculum. And he essentially wants to go outside of that. He wants to just have fun with his students and try to actually make them care about learning. And his actual teaching methods do end up helping these students. They end up actually caring a lot more about what they're learning about. Most of them, they actually go over a lot of different characters, like 6 or 7 students that genuinely start to care about what they're learning, and they actually start to go outside of, even when they're outside of school, they start going, trying to learn about this stuff. So you could tell this stuff's working, and there's actually a lot of like really sad stories here, especially with one character. I'm not going to go into too much detail just in case some of you want to watch this, but it's deep shit and it's sad. There is something that happens. It's really, really emotional. But yeah, I loved it. It's a great movie. Not really any issues with it, to be honest. So I'll leave it at that. Gatekeeping Eugenio Derbez. That's the main actor, right? That's the lead. He's great though. I've seen him in a couple of movies. Radically high. Radical. I didn't know that slang was still used. I guess so. Yeah, so he was the lead actor. Was a comedian in Mexico before he transitioned to dramatic acting. Unfortunately, I cannot enjoy his dramatic acting because I remember his. Oh wait, hold on. I hate YouTube, like, blocks out some of the messages sometimes. It's really annoying because I remember his comedic mannerisms. Oh, I guess that makes sense. But I mean, I haven't seen any of his. Actually, no. I guess technically one of his roles was more comedic, but it still was dramatic at the same time. I guess it could be comedic and dramatic at the same time. I don't know. I think I've seen him in 3 movies. There's Instructions Not Included, this, and then Under the Same Moon. I think those are the only 3 movies I've seen him in. But yeah, great movie. Next up, oh boy. Here's another one that I think will get me some hate. Five Nights at Freddy's. Yeah, okay. Look, I don't think it's bad, but it's meh. Pretty close to the bottom of meh. In the D tier. I just didn't like it that much. I'm sorry. It's not that good. Look, I never knew what the lore of Five Nights at Freddy's was before I watched the movie, so I'm not like this big fan who went into it being like, oh my god, I can't wait to see it. Like, that, obviously that might change your experience, whether it's for the best or for the worst. But just watching it as someone who knows the bare minimum about it, I thought it had some entertaining moments, and that's about it. The scares were not there, which I didn't think it was going to be that scary, so whatever. The story was, sure, maybe semi-intriguing, but at the same time, didn't really do much with it. I think that's the biggest problem. It just didn't do enough with it. There is an interesting story there. There is something they could have done with it. And I'm sure the game's story is a lot better. But, like, they didn't do much with it. I felt like a lot of it was just kind of too silly for me. I know it is going to be really silly based on the premise, but there is a way to make something that silly still work and be effective. I didn't think it was. Was it better than Willy's Wonderland? I liked Willy's Wonderland better. I'll be honest. Well, to be fair, Willy's Wonderland was also R-rated, so you were able to have some more interesting like kills and stuff. Like obviously, this one didn't really have that side of it. It was PG-13, but it just didn't work for me. I didn't hate it though. Are these all movies you saw in the theaters or the ones you reacted to? These are just any movies that I saw that released in 2023. Some of these I reacted to, some of these I watched in the theaters, some of these I watched on my own at home. Some of these, like, they're all just any movies that released in 2023. So the movie does not deserve so much hate. I feel like it got more hate critically speaking, but like on Twitter from like the Five Nights at Freddy's fans, like I saw a lot of people loving the movie. Which I mean, to be fair, like I don't know, because I'm a very critical guy. I feel like with the things I love. So like, let's say they made a Call of Duty Zombies movie or something like that, right? Like I guess if it wasn't, I feel like I would be more critical to it than someone who wasn't a fan. You know what I mean? But for Five Nights at Freddy's movie, I feel like it was the opposite, where I feel like the fans of it like were the least critical possible people of it. They fucking loved it, you know? A lot of them, not everyone. I'm not saying everyone, but there was a lot of people who loved it, who were big fans of the game. But I feel like most people who weren't big fans of the game in the first place either did not care for it or thought it was trash. I didn't think it was trash. I just thought it was meh. As anyone asks you if you've seen Saltburn yet, someone did ask me, but I haven't seen it. No. It was a very weird adaptation of the Five Nights at Freddy's lore. Like it took concepts and mashed them together. Yeah, that's what I heard. Like it wasn't fully like the exact lore, yeah, the exact story. It was kind of just like a mashup of different concepts from it. Five Nights at Freddy's was so boring. I wasn't a Five Nights at Freddy's fan, but thought this ought to be fun and wild, but they did nothing interesting. Blah characters, no kills, all a sleep therapy session. Well, I guess there was kills, but most of them kind of sucked. Except for that one where it split the girl in half. I did like that one. That was cool. But the other ones are It's a PG-13 horror movie. What are you going to expect? I don't know. I usually look at these tier ratings just for amusement, but I usually disagree with about a few. The Flash needs the hell out of that high spot. I'd put exactly where the Covenant is and vice versa. Oh, well, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? We cannot have the same list. That would be impossible. All right. The Killer I watched like a week ago. I was gonna do a reaction to it because it's a David Fincher movie, and I was like, okay, David Fincher's pretty high tier, director, but I don't know. I just thought not many people were gonna watch the reaction because I looked up other reactions to it and didn't seem like people were that interested in watching reactions to it. So I just said, fuck it, I'm watching it. I just at home normally. And I think it was a pretty great movie. I don't think it's going to be an S tier, though. I'd probably put it in A. I think that's where I put it in my top 10. So, yep, we'll put it right there, right below Spider-Verse, but above The Flash. So The Killer is about a hitman, essentially, and he messes up on one of his, hitman jobs, and he ends up getting attacked by the people that basically set up the whole hitman job, and it essentially gets people to try to kill him. And so then he goes out to try to kill all the people involved because it ends up getting people he loved into situations. And so a lot of ways it's like a revenge thriller, but it worked for me. I just think it wasn't an S because it doesn't have like that David Fincher oomph to it in the end. But I love how it's basically like a character study of this hitman. And especially the first 15 minutes, probably one of the funniest moments in a movie I've seen this year, which is really weird coming from a movie that's not really a comedy per se. I mean, I guess you could call it a comedy because like there are some funny moments in it, but it's like a lot of it's unintentional humor, I feel like, because it's just like this guy, like it's not a comedy because like, okay, the universe is not trying to be funny. You can tell like the elements that are happening in this movie, none of it's funny. It's just this guy himself just says stuff that's so like out of pocket and kind of funny. Like, like he's not a good person. He's a terrible dude. And you just kind of like can't help but be so entertained by his mannerisms and like what he does and what he says. and you listen to his inner monologue the whole movie, and especially that opening. I don't want to spoil it, but like it's just they subvert your expectations in such a great way, and there's so much build up to that subversion of expectations, and it's so good. It's a good movie. Um, Great fight scene in it too. There's a really cool fight scene that's really well shot, really well choreographed as well. And yeah, that's it. That's all I got to say about The Killer. I don't think it was definitely not David Fincher's best work, but it was still really great. So that's a good spot for it. We only have like what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 movies left. Okay, it's not too bad. All right. Well, next we have Priscilla. This is the movie about obviously Priscilla, Priscilla Presley, and I didn't know like anything about her story, like just never knew anything about it to be honest. So I went into it completely blind and not knowing about a lot of what actually happened there between her and Elvis, and it was honestly like the movie was made a lot better knowing that like the actual Priscilla Presley was involved in the making of the movie. That's really interesting to me. But the movie itself is just still, to me, average, just based on the fact that like I just didn't think it's one of those movies that's a very low conflict movie. It's very much just going about her life, right? And there's a lot of like it's basically showing all the horrible things that essentially she had to go through. That's basically what it is. So I think it's a good watch just based on that because you're getting to see the story behind that. But at the same time, was it that entertaining for me? It's fine. It's average. That's what I'm putting it in. I don't think I could put it much higher than that personally, but I know a lot of people got a lot more out of it than I did, and that's great, but wasn't my favorite. It's a Wonderful Knife. Oh god, man. This was Now this movie was painfully bad. I am actually shocked how bad this was because it should not have been that bad. So, It's a Wonderful Knife is a slasher, kind of whodunit, but not really because you kind of learn whodunit pretty early. So it's not really a whodunit. But it's a slasher and it's so fucking oh my god. It's like there's some moments that just made me laugh so hard because of how fucking bad it was. So at least it's better than Winnie the Pooh because at least it has some funny moments. But it's not meant to be funny though. Like that's the thing. I mean, okay, it is a comedy. There is a lot of comedic stuff. But it's the unintentional stuff is what's funny. It's not even the actual like attempted comedy that's funny. Like it's this the scenes that they were trying to be serious in that are funny, which that is like the worst thing a comedy can do is every comedic moment just not hit. And then the only stuff that does hit is the actual only serious moment in the whole movie. Like, what the fuck? That's so bad. Okay. Yeah, it just didn't work for me. I'm sorry. It was bad. It was bad. I don't think many people liked it. I don't think this is an unpopular opinion to say this. I think most people hated it, so I'm sure I'm just, just like everyone else in that case, but yeah, I really didn't like it. I thought you were talking about the adventures of Priscilla, Queen of the Desert. No, I was not talking about that, bro. Off topic, but do you like The Walking Dead or Breaking Bad better? Also, W Stream, thank you so much, Tracy Ward Films. I like The Walking Dead better, but I will admit Breaking Bad is better consistency in its quality, obviously. But I just think Breaking Bad, Walking Dead, I just like more as a show. It's just my favorite show of all time. It's hard to beat it. Okay, I want to talk a lot more about these movies, but I have to pee. So let me just do that real quick. I know I'm doing it again. I know, I drank a lot of water, bro. This is my third glass of water in the past 2 hours. I'm sorry. All right. I got a small bladder too. It's just how it happens. So I don't want to rush it. So I'd rather, run to the bathroom to do that. And then I'll be right back. And we have, like I said, not many movies left. So but they're going to be fun movies to talk about. I think the Marvels is going to be interesting to talk about. I think the Hunger Games will be fun to talk about. Godzilla, a bunch of movies. All right, we'll get to it. All right, I'm back. I made sure to go quick this time. This was a quick one. I didn't get more water, so I guess that's what made it quicker. Okay. All right. Okay. The Marvels. That's what we're on next. Yeah, if you saw my review, you know how I felt about the Marvels. It's in my opinion one of the worst MCU movies. So I probably gonna put it in the Met tier. I'm gonna put it probably above Cocaine Bear. I think I at least liked it more than Cocaine Bear. At least there was some competent storytelling there. But it's just my issue with the Marvels is that I feel like this movie didn't do like much of anything other than like okay, it introduced um Miss Marvel to Carol. That's basically what it did. Because she's always wanted to meet Carol Danvers and she meets her and that was cool. I like that. Sure. Had some interesting stuff with those characters, I guess. I liked watching them. I thought the action was somewhat decently choreographed in some of the scenes, but it just doesn't do enough beyond that, which ultimately makes the movie feel like a kind of a waste of time, to be honest, because I don't think it was that interesting, most of it. The villain is probably the worst villain in the MCU. That didn't help it. And yeah, that's pretty much all I had to say about it. Like, I don't know. Wasn't for me. Wasn't for me. Was not a good movie to me. Kamala's great though. Yeah, I agree. No, Kamala is great. I think the casting especially is probably one of the best castings in the entire MCU. I didn't love the Miss Marvel show. I think the first 2 episodes of that show were fantastic, but then I didn't really like the rest of it. But the casting, freaking amazing. She deserves some better shit though. That's for sure. I think they need to put her in a much better show, but much better movie. I hope they do something else with her that's way more interesting in the future because, like I said, she's great in the role. I think her character is really fun to watch. Um, Monica Rambeau, she's okay. I don't really have a massive opinion on her. She's kind of just like there. I guess her storyline with Carol here is somewhat interesting, but it's like not touched on enough for me to care that much. So yeah, very meh movie. I I wasn't really expecting it to be like amazing or anything like that, but I at least had hope because it was a different director than the first one. Because I don't like the first Captain Marvel either, but it was a different director. We had Nia DaCosta. I was like, okay, she's a good director, so she'll probably knock it out of the park. And I did hear that she didn't like they had a lot of problems behind the scenes, and she was kind of like not happy with some of how they handled it. But at the same time, which was actually weird because I think one of the higher ups, I think it might have been Bob Iger or something, like also said that like they had problems with like um the supervision on the movie or something like that. They said it needs to be more supervised or something, but I don't really know what he meant by that. I have no idea. It's a meh movie though. I don't know. I'm hoping to see more of these characters though. I want to see them in a better project in the future because they are good characters that could be great. I think Carol's a lot better in this one than the first game. Or not the first game, the first movie. She's definitely a much better character now because of this movie, but she also did a complete 180 though. She feels completely different. They made her better, but it's just such a jarring change that didn't feel like it had a natural progression, you know? Whenever Dan takes a drink of water, we take a drink. Bro, that's not a safe drinking game though, man. With the amount I drink water, oh no, that wouldn't be good. Okay, but we're moving on to the Hunger Games because I can talk a lot more about this movie because this movie's going in to the F tier. Such a trash movie. I'm kidding. It's going into S. Top of S, right next to Mission Impossible. But even higher than John Wick Chapter 4, actually. So the Hunger Games, the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, I was so excited for this, but I honestly didn't expect it to be that good. I was expecting it to be like, totally an okay movie, totally, fine, I guess. But this great production value, freaking love the characters, loved Tom Blythe as Coriolanus Snow. I think, Lucy Gray there was great as well. Fucking Peter Dinklage and Viola Davis giving some freaking mind-bendingly good at performances too. I freaking love their characters. Seeing the mentor side of the games was awesome. Like, there's so much to love about this movie, and I don't know. I'd be shocked if people didn't like it, but I've heard some people say they don't like it, but I don't know. I thought it was fantastic. Oh, yeah, it was fantastic. I'm not gonna change my opinion. It's not the best Hunger Games movie though. I do think it's the second best Hunger Games. I'll give it that. I do think it's the second best. It's not the best though. The best is obviously Catching Fire. This is my first Hunger Games. I loved everything, but how they wrapped it up, a bit messy. Oh wait, you didn't see any of the other ones? You just watched this one? I guess you could do that. You wouldn't like. The only thing you'd be missing out on is like a lot of the references and stuff, because there are some like references to later the main series. You should watch the other movies though too, because they're really great. But yeah, I loved it though. I really don't have many things to complain about. I think I did have some issues with the third act, but honestly, it's not that I had like a big issue with it. I just felt like it was a bit jarring compared to the first two acts because they're so different than the third act, but I loved it. You always seem surprised that it topped John Wick as if you had no choice. Yeah. Well, honestly, John Wick was one of my most anticipated movies of the year, and Hunger Games wasn't even on my most anticipated list. So I don't think it was, right? I don't know. Read the books, but reading's so hard. I've tried so much to read it. I just don't like reading. Like, I don't know what it is. Like, I think it's just the way my brain is wired. Like, I much rather like if I want to experience a story, I would much rather watch it than read it. So I guess that's just how it is, you know? Because like books have a lot more freedom usually because they don't have to worry about budgets and all that shit and CGI and special effects and acting. It's just straight up just the story written out. That's it. But like, I just I would rather watch the movie, you know, like it's also a lot quicker. I could watch a 2 hour movie and the book would take me like freaking 12 hours. Actually, I don't know. I've only read a couple books in my lifetime, so can't really say too much. I want to read the Game of Thrones books. I bought them. I'm going to read them. I just haven't gotten around to that. Maybe I will for the Hunger Games as well. Maybe. Oh, that's why you had no time to binge them? That's all right. It's definitely a movie you could watch without having seen the other ones. I don't think you're missing out on like you're not going to like not understand the movie because of not seeing the other movies, but I think it would help seeing them. Thanksgiving. This movie, I hate Twitter for this because they hyped this shit up. I didn't think it was that good. It's not bad though. It's average. Purely just an average movie. I know a lot of people loved it, and I hate that I'm putting so many slashers so low this year because I love slashers. I'm a big slasher fan. I love the Nightmare on Elm Street series and Halloween, and you know, there's so many great slashers. Scream, but like I feel like this year there's just so many slashers that were just not that good. This one's average though. I'll give it that. It's kind of like Scream in a lot of ways, but it's like Thanksgiving themed. Like that's the best way I could describe Thanksgiving. It's Scream but Thanksgiving themed. And it's a fun movie. I just thought the characters weren't that great. I thought some of it was a little bit too ridiculous for my liking, especially given the fact that a lot of the movie is taking itself seriously, so that didn't work for me, but average movie. Don't fall asleep on the live stream. I'm trying to imagine you with your head back snoring away while the camera is still streaming you. You have been yawning a lot. I'll be honest, I yawn a lot, but I don't think it's when I'm tired because I yawn in the middle of the day when I'm like not even tired all the time. I'm a big yawner. I don't know what it is. Honestly, I don't know what causes it. I hope it's not like a disease or something. Like, why do I yawn so much? I'm not gonna look that up on Google because Google will tell me I have cancer or something if I look that up. So I'm not looking that shit up on Google. Um, I had a rule with my kids: we couldn't watch the movie until they read the books. So far, I haven't seen any Harry Potter or Hunger Games movies. Mom, damn, that's actually kind of funny. The thing is like, I guess it depends which one you prefer to read or which one you prefer to experience first. Like, which one do you want to have be your first experience? The only thing I can relate to in terms of like I read the source material before watching um the product. That's such a weird way to say it. The Walking Dead. The Walking Dead, I read the comics before watching the show. So I'd always had somewhat of an idea as to what was probably going to happen. But then again, the show is very different than the comics. There's only some things that they replicate. So it ended up still making the experience of watching the show very unique. But at the same time, like I had a different kind of expectation going into certain things based on the comics. So that's kind of how it is for me. Thanksgiving opens to a great parody like Black Friday scene, but after that, it's totally generic. Yeah, I could see that. I did like some of those scenes though. In the end, the end of the movie had some pretty intense scenes. The main actress was pretty good too. It was an average movie. I don't know, not much more than that. Looking at this list, I think it's been a very decent, good year for movie. I don't know. A lot of people say it's a bad year for movies. I don't really agree. I think these are some pretty solid stuff here, but I'm hoping 2024 knocks it out of the park. The first movie in 2024 I'm seeing is either going to be Night Swim. I might see that this weekend. I don't know. Night Swim. The Beekeeper, I think, comes out soon. I think that Mean Girls musical comes out as well. So those are like the first three I'm probably going to watch of the year. So I don't know. Not expecting any of those to be that good, to be honest, but I guess we'll see. We'll see. Okay. May December is the next one on this ranking. Now, May December was actually pretty good. I'm actually probably going to even put it above Indiana Jones. Yeah, we'll put it there. That's a pretty good spot for it. It's a drama about this woman who's, you know, married to this man that she's terrible woman. I believe it's based on a true story as well, but it's weird because it's like, so it's about Natalie Portman's character is like trying to like interview or almost like shadow this woman because played by Julianne Moore, because they're making a movie off of her, and the movie is most likely going to be very critical of her, and she doesn't like fully understand that kind of, but like it's a very interesting movie the way these character dynamics are. So I really enjoyed it from that perspective. I don't think it was like exactly my type of movie in terms of like, I'm not going to give it great or good or S tier, but I think it delivered some pretty interesting drama. So I'll give it that. Really, really well written as well. So definitely deserves that. Googled frequent yawning may be a warning sign of being murdered. What? Oh my God. I think that's not something that's actually on Google. But I'm going to believe you, bro. I'm going to believe you. Listen to audiobooks. Yeah, I guess I could do that instead. I don't know. I think they really polished Thanksgiving compared to the mock trailer from Grindhouse. I didn't even see any of the trailers for it, so I don't even know. But yeah, May December. I'm not sure why it's called May December though. Does anyone know why it's called that? I'm really curious because I have no fucking idea. But good movie. Good movie. I enjoyed it. We don't have many more movies left. 4 movies left. These are all December movies. I guess these are all the movies I saw in December, and from that came out in December. Each and every one of them was in theaters, so good theater experiences. Okay, Godzilla -1. It's going right up here in S tier and even above John Wick Chapter 4. I wasn't too sure what to expect going into this. I heard a lot of good things, but I don't know. I love the MonsterVerse American Godzilla films a lot. I know a lot of people don't love them. I think they're all pretty great. And I have, at the point when I watched this, I haven't seen any other Godzilla movies other than that. I did recently watch the original Godzilla from 1954 though, so I at least have some idea of what that's like, but this was the first Japanese Godzilla movie I've ever seen. and it was fucking great. It had probably the best story and characters of any Godzilla movie. Even like the Godzilla stuff was cool and all, but I don't think that was the main appeal here. The main appeal was the story, the characters, the idea about like, Japanese kamikaze pilots not really, not really valuing human life and then trying to grow out of that. And like talked a lot about the effects of the atomic bomb as well. And it has this really interesting relationship with the main character as well as this girl, and they're taking care of this kid. The kid's not his, but they're still taking care of the kid. And really interesting relationship between those characters. Like I just so much good stuff here. It's definitely worth the watch, even if you're not a Godzilla fan. Like that's what I've been saying about this movie. Like it's not. It doesn't. You do not have to be a Godzilla movie to like this movie. I feel like the American ones, you need to be into the monster action stuff to care because that's a lot of the movie. But this one, like, I don't. The Godzilla stuff's cool, but like that's not even the main appeal here. So I think y'all gotta watch it. That's all I'm saying. Y'all gotta watch it. Ooh, -1. That blast was the most devastating I've ever seen. That shit was insane. Yeah, I agree. I didn't even know there was a new Japanese Godzilla. Well, that right there is why I love to do these streams, because I introduce a bunch of movies to people. I mean, a lot of these movies are very popular. I'm sure a lot of these people have already seen, but some of these, sometimes some people haven't seen them. So I think it's fun to do stuff like this. I'm gonna try my best to do more this year, though. I will hit 70. I will hit 70 movies. Honestly, if I really want to test myself, I could try to hit 100. Now, that'll be really damn hard to hit 100, but I'll try at least 70. I'll try it. At least. Got this from an interview with the director from Google. The title May December refers to the noticeable age gap, with May symbolizing youth and December representing the old partner. Well, that makes sense. I did think that at first, but then I was like, well, why not call it actually, no, that is right. Wait. No, June, December would be technically the furthest gap possible though, right? Because June is 6 and then December is 12. I believe that's further than May and December are. Because June is like the halfway point. Whatever, it doesn't matter. But that is a cool. That makes sense why the title's at that. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, that would be a long ranking. Well, honestly, if I had that many movies, I'd probably go a little faster. At least for certain movies that I don't care to talk about too much. I've been reading a lot of the chat here, and also in like the first like hour of the stream, I don't know if you guys noticed, like I had a really bad headache. It's better now. I'm not as bad, but like I was really like not feeling great in the first hour of the stream. So I kept taking pauses to like compose myself and just be like, all right, you're good, because constantly talking while you have a headache and your throat's like really dry, it's not good for it, obviously. So I kept taking like breaks, but I'm all good now. I've been good for probably 2 hours at this point. All right, Wonka. Wonka surprised the hell out of me, actually, because I was expecting this to be pretty bad. But I'm going to say it's good. Probably even above Knock at the Cabin. Yeah, probably there. So Wonka is a musical, which, I mean, musicals immediately usually are my thing, which is insanely interesting because I'm so excited for Joker 2, yet it's going to be musical. This is a different type of musical. This is a very much a, the musical aspects are like implemented into the dialogue and into the scenes, and it's a very different type of musical. But it honestly worked for me. I thought it was actually really good. I thought Timothy Chalamet as Wonka was actually fitting. He actually did a great job. And there were certain points where I was like, yeah, this isn't that great. But once they got to the actual, like, when he actually opened up the chocolate shop and they had that scene of like showing all the edible stuff, like that shit was like, okay, this feels magical. And it brought me back to my childhood because I used to love the Charlie and Chocolate Factory movies, the first one, the original, and even the Tim Burton one I loved. So, love those movies. I was even in a play. Funny enough, I was in a play in like second grade where I played an Oompa Loompa in a play. And brings back memories to that because some of those songs were in not mostly songs. It wasn't like the same because obviously the play was based on the original movie, not based on um this story, obviously. So it was very different music. But the one song that did appear was, of course, the the song, like the one that was at the end. I don't know the name of the song, but you know what I'm talking about. The pure imagination song, I guess. And so like even not with that song, even before that song came up in the movie, like just the little bits of like just I don't know, like they had some bits of music. Like sometimes they'd have a little like little motif that was in that song that would appear earlier in the movie or something like that. Little moments like that just made you like get just immersed with magic, and brought me back to my childhood a bit. So I don't know. I thought it was great from that perspective, but it's not like the that amazing otherwise, I guess. So I'm leaving it in good. I think that's a good spot for it. We had 3.5 hours. Are we actually? Oh my god. Jesus, bro. How do I do that? God damn. I didn't feel Timothy as a Wonka from the trailers. Did he make it his own? Yeah, I think it's his own. He doesn't feel like he's trying to copy Gene Wilder or Johnny Depp. So I'll give him that. It was his own, but it was definitely still in that Wonka feel. I do think he did a great job in it, so I'll give him that. Well, there's chocolate and there's chocolate. Hell yes, there is. Even though I hate chocolate. Actually, I don't hate. I hate most chocolates. There's some types of chocolates I can eat. If it's like a cookie chocolate type thing, that's fine. Chocolate cookie, that's cool. But like chocolate bars, fuck no. Nuh-uh. Will you do a ranking for the TV series? Like the TV series of 2022, 2023? I talked about this earlier. Not sure. Not like in the stream for sure, but if I do a video, maybe? I don't know. I'm glad you're enjoying American Horror Story. Keep up the great work. Thank you so much. I really am enjoying it. I'm actually surprised I'm enjoying it this much. Like I thought it was gonna be like okay, but no, it's I actually really am enjoying it. It's a really fun show to watch. Really, really fun. You need to watch Clerks? Maybe one day. Okay. Done with Wonka. Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. Honestly, next to The Flash, I think this is one of the most underrated movies of the year as well. I'm going to put it at the top of good, though. It's not going to be in great, but top of good. I don't really understand a lot of the complaints with this as well. I think the DCEU just gets so much hate unnecessarily. I mean, we had 4 DCEU movies this year, and all of them I think are at least average. You know, I think Blue Beetle, Aquaman 2, and The Flash are all at least good, but the Shazam one I think is closer to average. But Aquaman 2 I think is good. I gave it a good review. I talked about it quite a bit. I thought James Wan was still able to have, an interesting movie here with some good action. I liked some of the stuff with Arthur and Norm, especially their little bromance there. I think Black Manta was good. I think the visuals were really cool. I thought everything with Atlantis was really cool. Maybe some of the comedy didn't work for me, and I think that's why it's a lot lower than it would be otherwise. But I liked it. I liked it a lot. So I'm not too surprised a lot of people disliked it, I guess, because, like I said, the DCU has just been getting a lot of hate in general lately, but it is what it is. It's definitely not as good as the first Aquaman, though. Definitely not as good as the first one, but it's still pretty damn good. So, all right. The Iron Claw. This is the last movie of this list, and I watched this in theaters. So damn sad. One of the saddest movies of the year, probably the saddest movie of the year. I'm going to put it right here in great. I think my only negative with this movie is I think it needed to linger with the emotional moments a little longer because I think it would have worked a bit better for me. It did make me cry in the end. It did. Like tear up. I don't know, like I didn't bawl my eyes out, but it was a tear, But I think I would have bawled my eyes out if they did keep on those emotional moments just a little bit more, just like a tiny bit more, because you kind of have to if you're gonna get an emotional response out of the audience more so. But the movie's still fucking great though, so I don't care. It's really well told. It's a true story. for the most part. They do change some things from the true story, but for the most part, it's a true story. And the acting, especially from Zac Efron, is incredible. I think the way the story is told is great. It's just so devastating. It's a hard watch, but it's I think it's worth watching because it shows like what putting your all into something, especially if it's really physically demanding to the point where it will destroy not you just it won't just destroy you physically, it could destroy you even just emotionally. It could destroy who you are as a person. And they have this father who's just kind of like pushing it even harder and harder and harder. And some of them don't even want to be a part of this. They're wrestlers. That's what they're doing. It's a wrestling movie. So yeah, really great movie. One of the best of the year in my top 10, definitely. And yeah, that is the ranking. I'm gonna stay on the stream for another couple minutes just to read some of the chat. But that is the ranking. I think this was a good year for movies, in my opinion. I'll be honest. I think it was. I don't think it was nearly as bad as some of Twitter was saying, because I saw a lot of people. I mean, they were saying like, "Oh, this year sucked," but I don't know. I mean, there's so many movies out there. Like, it's really hard for a year to just suck completely. I did say horror movies this year weren't that great compared to other years, but then again, I didn't see every horror movie that came out this year. But to be fair, I'm pretty sure I saw all the ones that people said were really good. I can't think of any horror movies that came out this year that I haven't seen that people said were really good. Maybe I missed one though. I don't know. I don't know. But I saw most of them, and like I said, I don't know. There's some that were good, but most of them weren't that great. To be honest, it's strange they have yet to make a film adaptation of Charlie and the Great Glass Elevator. It's a sequel to Charlie and the Chocolate Factory that I read in 4th grade. Really? I want to see that. They got to do that. That'd be cool. Iron Claw is so underrated. Not enough people talk about it. Yeah, a lot of people didn't even see it, I don't think, but I think it's starting to get some more recognition now. If it gets any Oscars, which it probably should, it might get more recognition. Bump Blue Beetle up to A. I loved it. All right, bro. You got to tell me every single place you want this list to be, and I will do it just for you. I will change everything just for you. We'll make it your list, bro. Okay, I'm kidding. I'm glad you loved it, though. Happy to see you ranked Songbirds and Snakes so high. Shocked me how much I enjoyed it. The trailer had me worried. I actually liked the trailers, to be honest, but I wasn't that excited for it. I just, when it ended up coming out, I was like, fuck, this is really good. The Iron Claw was trauma fuel, pretty much. Now I'm picturing people walking out of the movie sobbing with a box of tissues. Yeah, I wasn't sobbing, but I was, teary eyed, which it takes a lot for me to like get that. You know what I mean? The only time I feel like I could probably name like 3 times a movie had, or like a movie or show had me sobbing. 2 of those are on the fucking channel. Bro, if you want to see me bawling my eyes out, go watch The Walking Dead season 11 finale reaction. Oh my god, bro. That was bad. That's like, I think it's the most I've cried watching something. Like, I was literally I was like, it was hard to edit it because I was sitting there like, I don't want people to watch this. I was like, oh god. But that was pretty bad. Even Stranger Things season 4 finale had me crying a lot. Those are probably my Game of Thrones season 3 episode 9 as well. That's up there. For movies though, The Whale last year had me crying a lot. What else? Obviously Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 did that. Godzilla -1 actually made me tear up at the end. I'll give it that. Yeah. Across the Spider-Verse S, please. All right, bro, let's do it. No, I'm kidding. Really enjoyed this rank, and I'm very happy that I was able to catch it live. I'm almost always miss them, so this was a great time for me. All right, that's great. I would like to try to do them a bit earlier in the day. I probably should do them earlier because this probably is late for some people, because I know people like in Europe, for example, this is kind of late for them, but the best times for me usually is like 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so that's usually when I do them, but I guess it depends on the day. But I appreciate you checking it out, though. Fast X was great for what it was, thanks to Momoa. I haven't seen any of the Fast and Furious movies, so I didn't see Fast X because of that, but I will be reacting to them eventually, though. So I would still put John Wick 4 as my favorite movie of the year. That's fair. That's fair. I wouldn't be surprised if some people said they liked Sorority Babes in the Slimeball Bolorama too better than what the fuck are you talking? What is that? Oh my god. I love the lives. I really miss them. Yeah, I do too. You know why I haven't done them in a while? Well, when was the last time I did one? Like October, I think, for my birthday. I didn't do them because I've been feeling really sick the past 2 months. I haven't like said this on any videos, but like I've been having a lot of bad stomach issues, like really bad. And sometimes that makes it hard to live stream because like I'm worried that if I'm gonna feel sick in the middle of it, like that's gonna create a problem. So I immediately just haven't really had much times where I felt good enough to stream the past 2 months. I also didn't have any reasons to stream, I guess. Sometimes I just randomly do them, but I haven't really had any reasons to do it. So I decided today I felt good enough today to do it, but at the same time, I don't know, like if you guys saw at the beginning of the stream, like I kept like taking breaks because like I felt really like woozy for some reason in my head. Um, Stomach's okay, but for some reason I don't know, I didn't feel great. I don't know. I'm going to the doctor soon though, so don't worry. I'm checking everything out. It's just don't know what's going on. I'm probably fine. It's probably just stress, but you know, it is what it is. May December being this high on your list is actually surprising and a total W. Hell yeah, hell yeah. I thought it was pretty good. Have you seen the Harry Potter 20th anniversary reunion? Yes, I did actually. I was watching Alex Hefner's reaction to it last night. It was in tears by the end. Yeah, that shit was actually a really great reunion. I don't usually watch reunions like that, but like I thought that was actually a really good one. I watched the Friends reunion as well. That shit was amazing. Like I obviously Friends being one of my favorite shows, I had to, but Harry Potter as well. Like I felt like I just should watch it because it was after I watched the I think when did it release? Did it release last year or was it 2021? I forget, but I watched it like shortly after it released. It was also shortly after I watched the movies for the first time all the way through. So there's that. Thank you, Kermit the Frog. I appreciate it. What's up, Gavin Moon? What's up, Phoenix? Apologies though, I will be ending the stream soon though. So I know I'm late coming in here, but I love your reactions to things. Thank you so much. Thank you. All right. Before I end it though, I'm just gonna announce some things I'm gonna be doing over the next few weeks in terms of movie, not movie reactions. I guess kind of movie reactions because right now movie reactions I don't have many on the pipeline. I have to do polls to find out which ones people want to watch next. In terms of shows, obviously American Horror Story, gonna continue that. Gonna go as fast as we can through. Not as fast as we can, but I'm gonna go probably the same pace I went through with Game of Thrones, where like it was like one episode every couple days, sort of, as much as I can do, I guess. But we're almost on to season 2, so that'll be cool. Keep doing that, and then Echo comes out soon. We're gonna be reacting to the Echo series. We're also gonna react to the Ted series, the Ted prequel series. I'm really excited for that. And that's all for January. February obviously has the Walking Dead Rick and Michonne show. And yeah, that's about it. Movies, if there's any good movies that come out and I want to review them, I'll do that. I do have a video plan to do my most anticipated shows of the year. So, I will do that. If you guys are interested, I currently do have a top 10 prepared for it. So I probably will record it tomorrow and then upload it later. Like maybe later tomorrow or the day after that. I don't know. But it is a top 10 of my most anticipated TV seasons of the year, which I was surprised there's 10 of them because usually I'm not like TV shows. Usually I just end up seeing when they come out, but like there's actually more than 10 shows that are coming out this year that I'm looking forward to. So, yep. This may be unpopular, but my favorite horror film of the year is easily Cobweb. Wow, that's surprising. I mean, I like the movie. I gave it average, but didn't think it was good enough to put in good. So we hope you get better soon. Thank you so much. I thought you were gonna change the list to how I want. No, bro. Glad I can finally watch the American Horror Story season 1 episode 10 reaction on Patreon now, bro. It was a good one, man. It was a good one. I was just editing it as well. I actually finished the editing probably like today, actually, a couple hours ago. I love Friends on my TV right now. Fave show, Rip Matthew Perry. Yeah, that broke me when that happened, man. That came out of nowhere. That was bad. Yeah, that is one of my favorite shows. I want to make a ranking of all the seasons though. I think that would be really fun to do. And I'm currently rewatching the show with my girlfriend, so maybe when we finish watching it, it's her first time watching it actually, um so it's really fun to see her reactions to it. But I'm probably gonna do a ranking of all those seasons of Friends after I finish rewatching it because I think that would be fun as hell. Because I have a lot of opinions on Friends that are kind of unpopular, and I wanna share them in a place where I can be spoiler free and not worry about it. Because I don't want to give any spoilers away right now. Because I think Friends is a damn good show. It's so underrated. It really is. It really is. A lot of people. Okay, that's so funny. I said underrated, but there's no way. It's always called overrated because so many people fucking like love it. But I also feel like I'm starting to call it underrated recently because so many people hate on it now. So like I know it's not, it doesn't make sense to call it underrated, but like we're at a point where so many people call it overrated that I'm now considering it underrated. It's kind of funny how that happens, but whatever. Oh no, are you the guy from before that I already blocked? Bro, come on. Come on. The awesome guy. I mean, I'm ending the stream anyways, but bro, please. I know you're probably a child, but please, like, you did this on like half of my stream. You've been doing this on like all my streams recently. I'm assuming you just keep making a new account, which honestly, that's kind of like a free subscriber glitch. I just realized because you have to make a new account and you have to subscribe to me every single time you want to comment again. So actually, that's a fucking brilliant subscriber loophole right there. Okay. I won't block you again because I'm ending the stream anyways. But if you come into next stream and do that shit, I will. So that's your warning. That's your warning, bro. That's your warning. All right. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for. I just said that. Why am I? That's what happens when I'm 4 hours into a live stream. I like lose my mind. This is my only time in here. What? You're bullshitting me. Hold on. I could find out right now. I could find out right now. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Oh, it's not letting me go that far back. No. I was going to go all the way back into the chat to find where I already deleted previous messages. Damn. Guess I can't. All right. I'm pretty positive you had a very similar name to that same person. Unless coincidentally you just happen to have the almost near identical name. If that's the case, then all right. I apologize. But I'm pretty sure you're the same person. Because it's like the same name. Okay. You say that. If you're telling the truth, that's okay. All right. All right. I gotta go. I gotta go, man. All right. I don't want to leave. I love streaming. Okay. I'll see y'all later. All right. Next stream will probably be next month. I'm gonna try to do the one stream a month again because I know I've been doing that before. Really, I'm not even kidding. Okay, I don't know. Whatever. I don't care. I don't care if you were or not. I just know that there was someone else who did the exact same shit as you with, spamming the chat with emojis and random shit. Regardless, it doesn't matter if you were here in a different stream or not. Just don't do that. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. All right. Thank you all for watching. I will see you all later.